56 with Wolo and Stats. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin and Brett Stats Norsworthy.
Happy Tuesday, one and all. It'll be a terrific Tuesday. Kind of quiet, actually. Compared to some of the other days that we have had the last week or so, this one rather mild, you could say. Nonetheless, incredibly good news today. I think anytime.
I like good news.
Anytime you get a preseason All-American from your team, you got to feel pretty good. Kenny Gainwell did that today. They came out with the preseason All-American team, and Kenny Gainwell, really one of only two non-Power 5 players. There's an offensive lineman from Air Force that made the second-team All-American. All the first-teamers are all Power 5 players. But Kenny made it. Justin Fields, by the way, is in the same backfield with him.
Wow.
They did include players because Trevor Lawrence is the first-team All-American, so you only get one quarterback.
That's true.
Who's number one. Number two is Justin Fields. There were two running backs ahead of Kenny, and then Gainwell is considered the third best running back in America. And when he's on your team or in Memphis and going through holes or lined up in a slot wherever Ryan Silverfield's going to play him, you feel pretty good. That is an honor. There is no question about that. When you have an All-American, whether it's first team, second team, you think about it logically. He's the third best running back in America, and he's wearing that blue and gray uniform.
I'm not 100% sure, and I can't really remember back that far because I was a little tight. I think it might have been 9 or 10. Was D'Angelo a preseason All-American his junior or senior year?
I would have to think he was. I don't remember.
At least the second team is senior year, right?
Sure.
I mean, because that was the real Heisman push.
But by then he was already amongst the top 2 or 3, I think, in all-purpose yards. Yeah. So I would imagine he had to be a first-team All-American. I should remember that, but I don't.
Well, I mean, I don't know about first team because you also got to remember that's in the Reggie Bush days at USC too.
Sure.
At least the second team.
The good thing is there are 2 running backs on first team and second team. So you have a pretty good chance if you're even up against a Heisman Trophy winner or candidate. And I'm sure that D'Angelo, I'm going to say his senior year, he was probably a first-team All-American. But
I think it's a safe bet, probably.
Yeah. Bottom line is, I can't wait. I spoke, and we should say on Thursday, Matt Stoltz, who is the voice of the Arkansas State Red Wolves, he will be on with us to talk a little bit about – we're going to start talking football because this thing is absolutely going to happen. It's going to start. I don't know if it'll finish. It is going to start. I know there are some people that are still not sure that everything that I've been through at this point, I believe we're going to start this season now.
I'm 90% sure. I'm not going to 100% close the door on canceling the season before the Tigers kick off September 5th, just due to how many different things have already happened this year and have come out of left field and ruined so much stuff. So I'm at 90%. Probably this time next week I'll be at 95, and then
I'll be in the 90s. I'm happy.
Yeah, I'll be hopefully I'll be 99.9% sure Saturday morning.
I think 90 is a fair amount. I mean, that's almost positive, but who knows what could happen in the next 11 days. You're not granted anything.
No.
But all the plans have been made, and now we're still waiting, and I think could hear tomorrow. I really thought we were going to hear yesterday, but I think tomorrow is sort of the deadline on what ESPN is going to do. I don't think it's going to be an ABC game, and I'll tell you why. There are 2 playoff games on that day that are scheduled in the bubble, and I would think ABC would take those.
Oh, definitely.
So I think you're going to get that. And now then look at – there's 7 college football games that day, just 7. I think SMU, they play like Texas State or something of that, some kind of competition like that. That may be – they're the only other team besides Memphis that are getting votes in the top 25. So I think that Memphis game will be the premier game on ESPN.
It should be. I mean, just due to the fact that there's really not a lot of competition around the country. I think we're down to only 76 programs going forward with college football this year, and a lot of the the Power 3 now aren't even starting till late September. So it's our time to shine. Show the world what we got. Yeah.
First 3 weeks. The interesting aspect is, so it's 76 teams, right? So there's 10 FBS football teams. That's bowl division, right?
Yes.
That's why it's FBS, Football Bowl Series. And we have 4 that are not playing in the FBS, right? So those 4 are the Big Ten, the Pac-12, the Mountain West,
and the MAC.
And the MAC, thank you.
Yes.
And the 6 that are playing are the 3 Power 5s that are the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, the American, the Mountain West, and the Sun Belt.
American is CUSA and the Sun Belt.
CUSA and the Sun Belt, excuse me. That's right. The Mountain West is not.
Yes.
And that's how you get to those 6. And there's 76 teams.
I believe so. The last time I checked, it was 76.
6 leagues.
Yeah, and I think you got to subtract a few teams. I think right now there still are some independents still trying to figure it out, haven't fully canceled it.
How do you count?
And then also
Notre Dame. Notre Dame is now ACC, right?
Yeah, so it counts towards
ACC schools.
Towards the 76.
So
and Old Dominion in Conference USA has shut it down too. It could be higher, it could be lower. I think just the last time I saw a number was sometime last week, and it was at 76.
So the only independents would be BYU.
BYU set to play. Army is playing.
And Army.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, because UConn is done. New Mexico is done. Liberty is done.
Liberty is done?
I think Liberty's not playing.
I'm not sure.
I didn't just break any news or
I'm not sure
lie on air, did I?
You might have. I don't know. I thought Liberty was playing.
Let me double check.
That is, by the way, Hugh Freeze's school, and he did a heck of a job.
Liberty is playing. My fault.
I thought they were.
That's on me. I was just thinking of independent schools, and they just popped in my head.
And I don't know how these independent schools are getting games. I mean, they're playing each other, obviously. So BYU is playing Liberty, I would suspect, at some point. They're probably playing. Are they playing Army? Did they get a game with Army?
Trying to look at their schedule right now. My computer's messing up. So, technology.
Yeah. Well,
I see
happen.
They've got just off the schedule here. Got a game against Syracuse, Virginia Tech, North Carolina State. Slated to play against Southern Miss, Louisiana Monroe, FIU, Western Kentucky, and if this thing will scroll up for me, it's not doing that.
So Western Kentucky is a Sun Belt school.
Yes.
So, yeah, they're playing them.
And Coastal and UMass was an independent. Their game against Liberty has been canceled. And North Alabama.
North Alabama, a Division II school, aren't they?
I thought so, but according to
playing that game.
Yeah, but according to this, it's still slated to go on. I doubt it, but right now it looks like they've just got a lot of Conference USA and then the few 10-1 games for the ACC.
So they were going to play. They were going to start with North Carolina 18 and A&T.
Mm-hmm.
That one was postponed.
So I mean, sure. I'm guessing Army's probably got a slot open for them.
They're not in a conference, right? They're playing Virginia Tech as their biggest, and NC State, so they're playing a couple.
And Syracuse, according to this.
I didn't realize the ACC was playing as many non-conference games as they're playing. I thought it was just a 10-1 deal.
They are, but I guess that a lot of the ACC schools have just decided that Liberty really needed their help and decided to give them games.
Interesting. Well, maybe that is it.
And make it kind of an easy and one.
I see him playing. You're right. Syracuse, Virginia Tech, NC State. The UMass game was postponed. UMass must not be going. And it's really that is incredibly interesting. But anyway, we should find out. Back to our original premise here.
Before we got off on the Liberty
if
side.
Memphis is going to be the prime game on ESPN, I would suspect a 6 or 7 o'clock kickoff on Saturday, September the 5th, but we shall wait and see, probably get some sort of word about that tomorrow. So the good news was the Kenny Gainwell, second team All-American, and you get something like that, you are in look, Memphis is just the last 4 or 5 years. I like to say, I was saying this in 2008 when we had a team should have been 40-0. These are the good old days. Just remember these days, these moments, because they don't come along all the time.
No, they don't.
And these last few years, starting about the second year of Fuente, through Norval, and now to Silverfield, these are special days.
Yeah, I think you definitely have to include that 3-9, second year 3-9. With Fuente, just because of how much you saw the progression of the program. You saw that we were actually coming along. While we were 3-9, I remember, I think, at least 6 of those losses, you were in the game until the end of the fourth quarter. A lot of them were single possession games. I remember Duke earlier in the year. That might have been to kick off the season. I think we only lost 28-21. In that one, but that 3-9 season needs to be included in this, because we saw that it was going to start something special, and then obviously next year 10-3, and then so on and so forth of what the Tiger program has truly become. And it's great to see that a guy like Kenny Gainwell from the University of Memphis is getting the respect that he is due, and getting that nod for second team All-American.
That year that you just brought up, Duke was clearly a better team. Mm-hmm. That was David Cutcliffe's early tenure.
Oh, yeah. That was some of his best teams.
Then losing the middle, that was, I don't know.
But it was a very close game. I was at that game. Check the date. It was September 14th.
It was.
It was my birthday. Went to middle, and we lost on a last-second field goal at the end.
True, but you were losing the middle.
Yeah, you saw that was a team a year or 2 years ago under Larry Porter would have gotten absolutely destroyed.
At that time, they were all upset because they wanted into the American.
Mm-hmm.
They thought they should have been in Conference USA when the American became Conference. When Conference USA became the American, they thought they should have been in that whole mix. They lost by a touchdown to UCF. They lost by 10 to Houston, and that was on the road. They did beat UT Martin, and they beat USF. I don't know that then they lost their last 3 games. I don't know that I felt then.
I did.
There was going to be a turnaround.
And also the university really felt it, because you remember the slogan for the Fuente's third year was "Wait till this year." And it was kind of that's a big thing around town. We saw that there was going to be hope, but do we go ahead and actually say wait till this year, like this year is going to be the year? And it turned out to be.
It did, but they lost by 5 touchdowns to UConn last game of the year.
Well, that one was bad, yeah.
That was not a close game. I remember how mad Justin Fuente was, and I remember Justin Fuente going, not necessarily to me, but kind of talking out loud as he was walking away, I'm not going to miss these seniors.
That's a little harsh.
Yeah. I'm not going to miss these seniors. That is what he said. It is time, ladies. Oh, let me tell you about the show. We got Gabe Kuhn. We'll talk more about this Tiger football program and the game with Arkansas State. We'll talk with him at 3:30. Then Brent Beard on college football all across the board at 4. Ron Tillery on the NBA playoffs. I cannot figure out who's going to win the NBA playoffs. Can you?
No, I can't.
If somebody said to you, all right, you got to put $100 down. Who's going to win this?
Ooh, who's giving me the $100 put down first off?
I'm just saying to you, the pressure is on. You got to make a pick. Who?
Milwaukee, I guess, would be the safe and easy bet, because even though the Lakers yesterday absolutely destroyed Portland, it's not like they have really been consistent game in and game out through this bubble and now through the NBA playoffs. And who knows if Damian Lillard shows up tomorrow and really goes off, and it could be a real series again.
I thought the Lakers made a statement yesterday, because the game before, I was embarrassed for them. When they weren't getting back on defense, and Jeff Van Gundy is going, what are they doing? And Mark Jackson is saying, this is ridiculous. There's no hustle in either team. And this is the playoffs? They looked embarrassing. They did not look like a championship team at all. And they came out and played with intensity. And, of course, look at the points that were scored in that game.
I told you so.
I will say that the bubble is producing some crazy stuff, because that was not top-notch NBA basketball. When you score that many points, that means you're not playing defense at all on either side. I would not go crazy if I were you on your Lakers quite yet.
We had a 6-man in the building yesterday.
Oh, Kobe Bryant?
He was there yesterday.
It was the anniversary. Hard to believe a year has gone by that Kobe Bryant passed away. It really is. That just goes to show you how you never really know about time. Sometimes it drags on, and sometimes it's a blink. And that is the case. So we'll talk with Ron Tillery Beaumarchant on collegetopro.com. He'll talk NFL, and a special guest at 5:30 on College Hoops, the premier national college basketball writer in America, in my opinion, Mike DeCourcy, will join us at 5:30. We got Taco Bell crunch time coming your way at 5:50. It is time for Top and Not.
Top story of the day.
Well, I'm going positive today. I think Kenny Gainwell making second-team preseason All-America, basically the third-best running back in America. I'll take that to start. I really will. I think it's going to be a heck of a year for Kenny. There's other guys that are going to come up and get some of the ball for sure. But Kenny Gainwell, I think I go back to what Mike Norvell told me. When Kenneth Gainwell was sitting on the bench, he said the best running back on this team, and keep in mind, you had three guys. You had Darrell Henderson, Tony Pollard, and Dorland Dorsey. All three of those guys are playing, right? And he said the best running back on this team is Kenneth Gainwell. He said Kenny, because at that point he was Kenny,
he was Kenny.
Kenneth. I said, come on, coach. All coaches, when the guy's not playing, he's the best player ever.
Oh, yeah.
He goes, watch, you'll see. I think we're going to see that this year. Kenny Gainwell, second-team All-American. That's my top story of the day.
My top story, I'm going to stay positive as well. This comes from the great John Varlas, who does one of the best jobs in the country covering preps.
Who's going to be with us to talk a little bit about this TSSAA story that we had Dr. Joris Ray on yesterday. He will be with us, John, 5:30 on Friday.
5:30 on Friday, John Varlas. But he tweeted out earlier today that junior running back Dallin Hayden of Christian Brothers High School, after running for 260 yards and 3 touchdowns last week against Houston, just picked up an offer from the Ohio State University.
Wow.
Big time offer right there.
I think they looked at the bloodlines there.
Oh, yeah.
They know. They know. How about that? That is pretty impressive. Speaking of which, I don't think that he made preseason All-State.
Probably not.
I know he did.
Because only two guys.
Two guys out of 24 positions. 2 guys. Bias continued today. I'm going to read later the top 25 teams in the state. Like 4 are from West Tennessee. 4. Crazy.
Not top story of the day.
Well, those are the numbers that we always give you on the coronavirus. And honestly, they're pretty good today, too. 122 new cases, 0. I love that number.
All right.
0 deaths. How about this? 1,800 tests. How about this? The lowest positivity rate in those tests that I've seen since the beginning. 6.8% positivity in those 1,800 tests. Hospital capacity improving again. Numbers going down. 26,528 cases. We're down to 3,186 active cases. A lot of good things. 144,000 in Tennessee. We did have 800 new, 1,588 fatalities, 78,000 cases in Mississippi with 2,248 fatalities. Arkansas, 56, almost 57,696 who have passed away. We are approaching 6 million cases in the United States, 181,000 who have died, 77 million tests now. So we're about 25% of the population, although there have been plenty of people who have had multiple tests, me included. So I don't really know how close that echoes what really is happening with the percentage of population. And we've had 3.25 million recoveries so far. Around the world, we're getting close to 24 million, 23.9 million, 819,000 who have passed, and 12.25 million who've recovered.
My top story has to do with COVID-19 as well. Since reopening campus, 2 students last week at the University of Alabama, they have reportedly had over 500 confirmed positive COVID-19 cases in Tuscaloosa. These numbers came out just 6 hours after the city of Tuscaloosa announced that they will be closing all bars for the next 2 weeks to stop the rapid spread of COVID. They announced that yesterday around noon, and the numbers came out about 7 o'clock last night. And if you've seen any of the pictures or the videos from Tuscaloosa, it's probably a good idea to close those bars, especially if they want college football to happen in a month.
I will tell you, I saw that tweet at about 7 o'clock last night, and I actually questioned it. And it came from a guy who writes for the Tuscaloosa News, and I think for over 30 years now he's covered Alabama football. So the guy knows his stuff. But I did question it. And you go back to those pictures of all those frat guys at the bars, all close together, girls and guys hugging each other, no masks, no social distancing whatsoever. And tell me social distancing and masks don't work. 519 cases. Oh, yeah. We just talked about
120 right
Shelby
here.
County. In all of Shelby County, we had 188 today. And that's coming down now. We had double digits just.
We had 87 Monday.
Yeah, it was. I know it was really, really low. So 122 new cases today. They had 510. I just said in the state of Tennessee, there were 800 in the state of Tennessee. You're talking about a little town, college kids. What's the total student population of Alabama?
I want to say it's around 26.
Yeah, 25, 26. That's what 500? And that doesn't tell you wear a mask and social distance. Come on. And they got to get a handle on that. They truly do, and I hope that they will. So those are your top and your not top stories. We are sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. I got some new things I'm going to be telling you about a spa sale that is going to start here really, really soon. But I do want to remind you can still get that swimming pool. 2020 pricing is on a 2021, and secure your spot for installation of that new pool next spring. Patio furniture with the summer coming on down to a close here. We're 20 to 30% off. Same thing with pool toys and floats. 30% off on those. If you want to beat the heat, you can get an indoor game table. How about a slate pool table? Maybe an air hockey game or ping pong. And those play gyms they ran out of, perfect for fall. For young kids, they've got play gyms back in stock. All you've got to do is get to I-40 and Whidden Road. That's where you'll find the real deal to make your home a staycation place. It's Family Leisure. We are back in a minute. We will hook up with our friend Gabe Kuhn. Talking Tigers next.
Search Sports 56 on Facebook and give us a like. And follow us on Twitter at Sports 56 WHBQ.
This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the Golden Opportunity August sales event. Great offers on all 2020 models and special lease options. If you've ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus of Memphis thinks you would look great in a Lexus, too. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500 and you'll be looking and driving in style. Lexus of Memphis, the highest standards in the industry, and they are the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833, online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
I'm giving Jeb's basement renovations 1 star. He kept asking me what's behind the walls down there. I'm like, why? What do you know?
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
And then he's like, you can trust me with the job. And I'm all like, trust?
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial, auto, and business insurance.
Yeah, he charged me less than he said he would, which is lying.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
Save now on your 2021 swimming pool at Family Leisure. Buy now at 2020 pricing and save your spot for the first installation of 2021. Patio furniture 20 to 30% off. Play gyms in stock. Beat the heat with an indoor game table or slate pool table. Pool toys and floats up to 30% off. Family Leisure, Witt Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Family and fun come together.
Hi, I'm Greg Gaston for Window Genie. Window Genie is a trusted name in window cleaning, but they do so much more. They can take care of your home or business. They clean interior and exterior windows with a streak-free guarantee. They clean gutters, do pressure washing and house washing. They can also clean and seal concrete, brick, and natural stone. Locally owned and operated, insured and bonded. Get your free estimate today and ask for the Sports 56 discount. Call 901-424-4100 and leave the dirty work to Window Genie.
I want to do some bragging rights. Hey, I was just the other day overhearing a conversation with Big Mike, the manager of DeSoto Auto Sales. They've got people buying cars all over the country. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, Texas. People from all over the country buy cars at DeSoto Auto Sales in Olive Branch, Mississippi. Why? DeSoto Auto Sales has the most stringent car inspection in America. They get it right the first time. Quality and low mileage. Factory warranty on most vehicles. My favorite part is the people who work there. Big Mike, all the employees are professional, friendly, and go that extra mile. Expect as you walk in the door, you're treated like family. DeSoto Auto Sales understands your time matters. We can help you find your dream car and get all the paperwork finished in less than an hour. Come see us at DeSoto Auto Sales and be part of our family. Have a great buying experience every time. 662-890-7184.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stack. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
We did not kick Brett out. He's just on vacation. He'll be back next Monday, I promise. In the meantime, time to talk a little bit of Tiger football. That would be with Gabe Kuhn, former offensive lineman extraordinaire, now working the middays with John Harden. And on top of that, he is a football coach at Germantown High School, and at this moment still very much in the fitness aspect of the game of football. Not any contact or anything like that, right, Gabe?
None.
How frustrating? Seriously, how frustrating is that for all of the coaches that are, you've guys had meetings for months putting together game plans and putting together how you were going to do all these preseason practices and probably jamboree and everything else, and all you can do is tell guys, okay, down, up, run. You can't do anything else but that.
And it's frustrating trying to keep guys motivated. It's just trying to continue to tell guys come out and condition with no real end in sight is tough when you're dealing with young kids. You're dealing with guys 14 to 18 years old.
Right.
That's the most annoying part about it. For me, Dave, I know you know O-line a little bit. Drew, you know O-line a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
How tough do you think it is to coach O-line when you can't touch each other? When you can't punch?
Pretty hard.
Impossible.
When you can't hit? You can't touch shoulder. You can't do anything. So that's been the thing for me. It's just like, oh my God.
I guess the only thing you could do would be footwork, right? I mean, just
footwork. And I think by the time season rolls around, our footwork will be the best in the will be the best in Shelby County schools, maybe in the state.
We had great news today. I opened up the show with it. Kenny Gainwell, second team preseason All-American, which it shows you the kind of run that the last few years, and I'm going back to when Fuente's team turned it around and went 10-3. That was the beginning of an era that we've had. I used to end Tiger basketball broadcasts with John Calipari in that 2008 season in particular. I would say everybody enjoy this because these are the good old days. And I think we are smack dab in the middle, and hopefully it's just the beginning, really, if you consider it all. But it began with Fuente and that 10-3 year. That we are in the good old days. When you go to the Cotton Bowl and even if it's 26th in the country, you're still in the conversation for top 25, and you got a kid that makes second team All-American. He's the third best running back as voted by these national people. Only one of two guys to make an All-American team that's not Power 5. I mean, Lord, we are in a really good time.
Yeah, and my favorite thing about it now is the sustaining power that's there. You have good recruiting. You have a coach who is willing to go do that on the recruiting trail. He's very good with the X's and O's. He can hire really good guys around him. You have an indoor facility that I was promised when I was coming in. That's incredible. So the sustaining power is the thing I'm more excited about than anything. You may have your range of records, 7-5. You could go undefeated. Who knows? But at least now there's a base to build upon. Whereas when I got there, you couldn't really say that much. I heard y'all's first conversation. Drew brought up that 3-9 season.
Yeah, and 13.
Right, Drew?
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you think that should be included in the good times, and that team should get more credit than you think they do?
And I think you're onto something, Drew. Because look, I'm not going to say it's not a good time. That season was not fun.
I'm not going there, by the way. I'm letting you know. I'm not going there. Not when you lose by 5 touchdowns to Connecticut, and the coach is saying,
in the last game of the
wait,
year,
can't wait.
UConn weren't they just off of a BCS bowl at that time? UConn was actually a decent program then.
They were.
I guess they were a few years removed from a BCS bowl.
The Tiger team mailed that game in. I know.
Yeah.
Justin Fuente was so PO'd. They did lose. They lost to Cincinnati by 13, and that was a home game. They did beat UT Martin. That was a revenge game.
Should have beat UCF that year if it weren't for a Marquise Warford fumble on the kickoff.
We would have won that one.
That was a home game.
And the kickoff for a touchdown got called back that game, too. That would have won the game.
But I will say, Drew, I won't call that the good times. That's not a good time at all. That was a really not fun season. But that was the first time where you actually felt hope. Okay, we can win some of these games. Play a close game at Louisville when they had Teddy Bridgewater. Play a close game at home against a BCS Bowl winning team in UCF with Blake Bortles, Rashad Perriman, all those guys.
That might have been the game where you said, okay, Fuente does know what he is doing. I think that would be a fair thing to say, but you got to realize the last 2 games they played that year, they lost by 55 points. Don't tell me those are the good old days.
They're not they're not the good old days, but that was the year where I would say the transition of hope started to happen, where you started to see the program sort of turn somewhat of a corner. And then the next year you go 10-3, you turn the whole record around.
Well, that's when the good old days begin, right there. 2014.
Yes, and we've
been in that role for 6 years, 5 years. This will be the 6th year.
Yep, between 3 different coaches now.
Right.
So, and I think that shows you again what I was referring to earlier, the sustaining power of what is actually built around the program now with everything they have.
If I were to ask you, what is the strength of this year's team? What are you going to tell me?
Continuity on offense. and what they've been able to do on offense over the past 2 years is pretty incredible. I can go ahead and say we can admit that. That's what I would absolutely say.
You don't think without Norvell there are going to be some people that think that continuity won't be there?
There's some people that'll think that, but I don't see. I mean, if you know anything about the program, if you know anything about Ryan Silverfield's philosophy, about Kevin John's philosophy, you would know that the continuity will mean something going forward for that offense. And the other thing I will say is defensively, you have a new coach, and Mike McIntyre. There is a lot. It is a senior and junior laden squad, so I would say that might be obviously a big step forward last year defensively and what they were able to do with Adam Fuller. But this year, when you look at those juniors and seniors in that front seven in the secondary, I think that could actually become, as far as the AAC goes, one of their strengths in regards to being one of the better, probably top half defenses in the AAC this year.
Yeah, Gabe. Going forward, obviously this year we only have 10 games on the schedule, having lost UT Martin last week and, of course, lost Purdue quite a while back. If you were Ryan Silverfield and the AD, Laird Veach at the University of Memphis, would you really be that concerned about replacing the games, or do you think 10 is plenty enough for a good resume for a Group of 5 school?
Yeah, I think I honestly, if they want to go replace, I've sort of said this, if they want to go replace, go find somebody. I think this late in the game is going to be tough.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think what you have right now is fine. Granted, and I think this goes without saying, since there's no real non-conference Power 5 opportunities, I don't see why you would go schedule one, because you have a decent Arkansas State team and then UTSA on your schedule right now. So, like, I unless you were going to go schedule a Power 5 out-of-conference game, I don't see why you would go and try to find anything else, because then you'd just be scheduling down and trying to deal with another non-Power 5 team, and then you'd have more games. It's just, I think at this point in the game, just play the schedule you have.
Well, just take a look at reality. For instance, the first few that we started thinking about, you want it to be a home game. They made it very clear they wanted this to be a home game. So now you're going to go try to look at maybe your old rivalries that fans would care about. So you looked at UAB, you looked at Southern Miss. Those are the two schools I hear the most from Tiger fans, that those are the schools they miss playing. Okay? Well, those guys are playing on the 21st. So that's out the window. The reality is, if you had to pay a bye game, are you financially going to be able to do that? Because you're not going to have it. We know at this point we're talking 4,000 fans. Now, maybe November 21st, numbers will come down. Heck, there could be a vaccine by then for the virus.
Yeah.
And you could get a bunch of people.
Another virus.
Yeah, you could get. You're right, or a second wave. The point is, you can't afford to pay anybody to really come, and so you really don't have it. It's a lot harder than they thought it would be to fill that date. It's just not that easy to find a team with an opening that day. And now the other aspect is, I think the conference is whispering to them, hey, look, there's a chance, probably a good one, that we're not going to go throughout the entire season without some breakouts, without some teams that get it, that we have to have flexibility. This is a date toward the end of the year that we could have as a flexible fill-in day in case you got to cancel a game earlier in the season. So the more I think the university has seen this, I think their efforts to try to fill that date have ceased. I think they're settling in on those 10 games.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. And it's interesting because when you're talking about if you're trying to schedule something based on what you lost, you're not going to be able to find a 1AA opponent, and you're also not going to be able to find a Power 5 opponent. And again, you just mentioned UAB and Southern Miss, like that. Again, that wouldn't work out. So I think this close to season, it was sort of as soon as UT Martin got scratched, that I think it was pretty. I mean, they were going to try and look around, but I think it was sort of a lost cause as soon as that game got scratched.
Personally, I would have said go to another school that might have had an opening, go on the road to play a Power 5 and get a payday, and maybe because you're pretty good, maybe you knock that team off and put yourself into a position for the New Year's Day Bowl or a better position. It'll probably come down to UCF and Cincinnati anyway. You're going to have to beat those teams. But, you beat those two teams, and let's just say you go, and I'm making this up, but you beat TCU at TCU. Whoa. Now all of a sudden, they got to find playoff teams. Who knows? Crazy things could happen if you were undefeated at that point with those kinds of wins. But that is – I don't think they were looking at that. I think they wanted to play at home. And that just does not seem to be the reality of it all.
Yeah, and speaking of the college football playoff, I mean, I am racking my brain trying to figure out how they're going to go about doing that, selecting that.
Well, can I tell you right now? I'll tell you right now how that's going to work.
All
out.
Power 5, probably two SEC, and then one from each of the others.
That's it. It's going to be two SEC schools against Oklahoma and Clemson. Clemson, Oklahoma, Alabama, and Florida, probably.
The one thing, the other argument I would make about that, though, is what happens, because I think it's very realistic when you look at the SEC that you could have your best team would have one loss. Right?
Your best schedule, team. You're right about that, because every game they're playing is against their own.
Yeah.
And
so
they're probably think of the physicality of that, Gabe.
That's what I'm saying. 8 games SEC schedule's miserable. 10-game SEC guys.
Right.
I've been thinking about that for those players. That's going to be a rough.
Well, with the CFP, you could have a team like the Tigers or UCF or Cincy pretty high up, especially because they're not going to release the first CFP poll until November 17th, and the Tigers will already be through 9 games at that point if everything goes as scheduled, and that would, and if the Tigers are undefeated, that would mean wins against Navy, Cincy, Central Florida, SMU, Houston, just to name a few out of the 9 that they would play. So, I mean, if Memphis is 9-0 going into that, you could see a top 10, right?
You could see, absolutely, you could.
Yeah,
it depends on what happened, and I do think that there will be more attrition from the conferences because they're all playing more conference games. Hey, you go back and you look at the history here. There's never been a team that won the college football championship that played more than 8 conference games. The one year the Big Ten won it, they did it by only playing 8 games. They didn't play 9. All the other champions have played only 8 conference games. Now you're talking about playing 10 conference games. So there probably will be teams that, obviously, anybody from the American, if they're going to make a case, is going to have to be perfect.
Yes.
They have to be 10-0. They're going to have to have beaten Cincinnati, UCF, or Memphis.
There's
possibly all 3.
If it's Navy, all 3.
Yeah. If you're an American Athletic Conference team with aspirations to get into any form of the college football playoff, you have to be spotless, and you probably have to beat every team by 20+. I mean, that's just the truth of the matter.
Well, I think if you've got 1 or 2 losses to every conference, and or at least 2 or 3 of those, maybe one Alabama or Clemson could be perfect, but the others have 1 or 2 losses. And you've beaten SMU, which is getting votes, Navy, which is always good, and they could make some noise.
Especially
UCF,
since we're playing at Annapolis
Cincinnati,
this year, so
and Memphis, or Memphis. One of those schools runs the table of all those other 4 good schools. You got a chance, I would think. Now it's an outside chance. And those Big 12's got to lose some games. ACC's got to lose some games, minus Clemson. SEC's got to have their second team's got to lose 1 or 2 games. Then you got a shot.
The COVID-19 for the Group of 5 to even have even an outside chance to get in the college football playoff. Because if there is a year, it's
this one.
If there is a year, it is this one.
Speaking of which, there's a report now out of Oklahoma that last week and I don't know how many. There was a position group, which Lincoln Riley would not say what it was, but he said multiple.
I heard it was D-line.
Multiple people, so it had to either be O-line or D-line, right? It wiped out the whole group. So if that happens before a game, right? You're going to go to that school and go, that flexibility thing we're talking about. We got to wait 5 weeks to play that game because I can't go without an O-line or without a D-line. That's what's going to screw this season up.
Yep, is if a whole group, even the freshmen, even all those red shirts, catch it. And I've told Drew several times about the great pink eye outbreak of 2015.
Oh, I've heard of it. Yeah,
the University of Memphis. It's just it happens when you have these things going around. These guys will catch it. They're too close to each other. They're not. Most of the time wearing masks when they're in the meeting rooms and elsewhere. So like that, it's just something that will go around. If one person gets it, you open yourself up for an outbreak.
Well, since you mentioned that was the 8-5 year. When did that outbreak occur?
I believe it was in the spring. But it
was not during the season. Okay.
Yeah, and also
it just so happened to happen the Navy game.
I think pink eye and COVID-19 are a little different, right?
They are.
I just throw in some.
The one common thing they have is they both spread pretty easily.
Yes, no question. But the eye drops for pink eye wipe it right out. We don't have anything like that for COVID-19.
Yeah, that is for sure. You better go back, coach your tail off, and we'll do. When we talk next week. We're going to be talking about the Red Wolves and preparation and the very first game of the year. How about that?
I am chomping at the bit. I'm excited.
You and me both. Thank you, Gabe. We appreciate it.
See you guys.
Gabe Kuhn. You listen to him in the afternoons with John Harden. And, of course, he is a former Tiger offensive lineman extraordinaire. We take a quick timeout. Back in a minute. We'll put a wrap on this very first hour on this Tuesday of Sports Time on Sports 56.
Spend your lunch with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 middays, delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Hey everybody, these new Chevy open road deals are spot on for fall right here in Olive Branch at All Star Chevrolet. And I'm telling you, you could save thousands of dollars and get that new Chevy you want today. Blazers, Equinox, Impalas, Camaros, get an all new Corvette. Treat yourself. And more all new 2021 Tahoes are on the way. Come pick out the one you want before it even gets here. And I'm looking at more new Silverados than you'll find anywhere. Come drive one, drive them all. And don't forget to check out the certified pre-owned Chevys. If you don't find exactly what you want, tell them here at All-Star and they will find it and get it here fast with the best financing for everyone. Remember, it's not the Pike, not Collierville, not South Haven or Mount Moriah. It's gotta be Olive Branch, people. And everybody at All-Star Chevrolet has one job: to make sure you get a better deal, have more fun, and in record time. So find new roads to Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet or go check them out online at allstarautogroup.com.
I want to invite you to come by the Spirit Shop. You know, that little log cabin on Poplar, your liquor and wine oasis. The Spirit Shop has been providing sports fans their beverage needs since way back in 1969. So come in now and get ready for the big game. Whether your favorite team wins or loses, the Spirit Shop will help you celebrate or ease that pain away. The Spirit Shop is open every day, and they're located perfectly at 4848 Poplar. That's the corner of Poplar and St. Nick.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Periscope. Don't miss out on anything. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 on social media. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
What I'm saying is, this is the anthem. Throw all your hands up. Y'all got to feel me. Sing if you're with me. Yeah. So wanna be just like you. This is the anthem. Throw all your hands up. Y'all got to feel me. Sing if you're with me.
We love listening to or reading our texts on the First Bank text line 67129. We have a texter who is really trying to be a matchmaker here. He's got the perfect game. He doesn't care about Southern Miss or UAB. He says Ole Miss is perfect, very vulnerable, and Memphis has beaten them in the past with Eli Manning and Chad Kelly as well. Great luck against Ole Miss. Well, the truth of the matter is, the SEC teams are not playing non-conference games.
Yeah, you can't play somebody who's not going to play you. So,
and that's a league mandate. So throw that out. Not going to happen. And I don't think there's going to be.
And if we're talking wish list of games, I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, I love the Memphis Ole Miss game. It's some of the best games I've gone to my entire life between the Tigers and the Rebels. But as far as wish list goes, especially with the SEC, I think you'd put Arkansas and Tennessee ahead of them just because it's been so
Arkansas?
Well, it's been so long since you've played them. I mean,
I would
and the
think,
flat out disrespect they showed us in the 90s after we beat them twice and they refused to make up the last game.
Well, they owe you a game, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And you are and you are going to get one, but you still did a two-for-one deal with them. So
and I still got to wait 6 years.
We'll be on the schedule.
I'll be in my 30s when that game's played.
I think because you only beat Tennessee once and it is your state school, I think this is me personally, and all this is obviously subject to debate. But I get from the majority of fans, at least my generation of fans, that Tennessee is the team that you would really most like to play in the SEC.
Oh, yeah.
I think Ole Miss is clearly second, and a close second. Arkansas would be
but
distant.
I've seen them so much lately. And, I can't miss you if you don't leave.
Okay.
Type of thing.
I think there's something about at least playing you, and now they won't do that.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think they want any part of playing Memphis anymore. That's
kind of a good thing.
And well, at least Mississippi State's willing to play. I
play them next year.
I appreciate that. That is for sure. I'd love to play as many of those SEC schools that you'd be allowed to play. Now, there is some breaking news apparently from the bubble. That makes this NBA puzzle, I think, a little easier on one front.
It does, and it definitely makes it easier for Carl's Lakers.
Yeah.
Jason Quick of The Athletic, who covers the Trailblazers, was the first report that I saw on Twitter, tweeted out about 10 minutes ago that Blazers have said that Damian Lillard will be out for Game 5 with a right knee sprain.
So, without Lillard,
sprain.
I think that's it.
I don't wish him to be hurt that bad, but
well, a sprain. I mean, he'll be good back for Game 6.
That'll be it. So the Mavericks
would not be a Game 6.
The Mavericks are also going to be missing Porzingis. He's got right knee soreness, so he is out for what is the premier game tonight? Clips Mavs 8:00 Memphis time. Which is that on? Is that on
TNT? I believe is
TNT.
Yeah.
So that game, you've got to believe the Clippers will end up winning that game without Porzingis. I don't think as great as Doncic is.
But Porzingis was out on Sunday, though.
Yeah,
but Luka was
you
hot.
got 43 points, 17 rebounds, and 13 assists. You really believe Luka Doncic is going to repeat that tonight?
I don't know if he repeats it, but if he has a strong performance and Paul George stays as cold as he has throughout this whole series, I think they've got a shot. I mean, somebody could step up.
According to ESPN's Power Index, it is a 56% to 44% matchup predictor that the Clippers win tonight with Porzingis now out. I would do if I were Doc Rivers, and Doc Rivers is pretty smart. He's not going to let Doncic breathe.
No, he's going to make somebody else on that team step up and knock down some shots because I don't think Doc is going to allow his team to be embarrassed 2 games back to back.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Brian Elder Roofing Solutions. When's the last time you looked at your roof, outside or inside? You know, sometimes you look up, you see a stain, you go, uh-oh. Roofing's an essential emergency service. Don't wait until you've got damage that starts to affect the inside of your home. Then it really becomes sort of an emergency. Don't let the problem get bad. Call Brian Elder. If you haven't looked at your roof for a while, you just want to check out to see where it stands, they come out. They do this for free. All you got to do is make the call to that very famous number, 901-867-0303, 867-0303. They use only the best products on the market. They also provide their customers with what I think is one of the best warranties for roofing contractors, period. And Brian stands by this. No questions asked warranty, which sets them apart from all the others. And they only use the latest in technology and equipment. Heck, you know, they are so good they can measure your roof from outer space. So if you've neglected your roof, if you haven't checked on it in a while, I hope this hasn't happened, but if you've got damage, there's one call you got to make for a free consultation. 901-867-0303. That's 867-0303, Brian Elder Roofing Solutions. We take this time out. When we come back, college football front and center. And our friend from down in Jacksonville, Brent Beard, is coming your way.
First Bank is here to help you, whether you're a business looking for a loan to expand or refinance an existing one, a homeowner looking for a mortgage or home equity line, a consumer wanting to finance your dream car, or wanting a competitive rate on your CD deposits. Let First Bank try to handle your banking needs. Stop into one of First Bank's 3 local branches today. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper, 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase, and 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or check them out online at firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Frontier Western Store is open and ready to serve you for all your needs in boots, apparel, pet food, and more. Frontier is proud to be a local leader here in the Mid-South when it comes to boots. Stop by the store today for an incredible selection of name brand work and dress boots. Come browse aisles and aisles of top quality boots at everyday low prices in our world famous boot showroom. Dan Post, Rocky, Durango, Twisted X, Georgia, Ariat, and many more. There are so many styles, colors, and fits available, you might need a hand picking out your favorites. Luckily, Frontier's knowledgeable sales staff will cheerfully assist you with any questions you have and ensure the proper fit of your new boots. Frontier also has an amazing selection of jeans and shirts by Wrangler, Ariat, and Carhartt, as well as a fully stocked women's boutique department with thousands of tops and dresses at unbelievable prices. New arrivals often. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Gilman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
Years of research, hundreds of tests, thousands of iterations. The result, the latest and dreamiest in sleep innovation. Introducing the new mattresses from Casper. Casper has done it yet again, and with all new mattresses. Waking up with back pain? Introducing Zoned Support. Casper's unique ergonomic system designed to keep your spine aligned when you sleep. And there's something brand new called AirScape. Engineered foam layers with perforations that help regulate your sleep temperature. From bedding, bed frames, even a dog bed, Casper has everything to build the dream bedroom for every kind of sleeper. My Casper is the best mattress I have ever had, hands down. And now Casper is offering free contactless delivery and, as always, free returns. So go to Casper.com and use the code ROAM and get $100 off your mattress order. That's codename ROAM, $100 off your mattress order. Terms and conditions do apply. See Casper.com/terms.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome in hour number 2 on a terrific Tuesday here. Numbers for COVID down again, 0 deaths, 1,800 tests, and 6.8% positivity. That had me in a good mood. And then we heard the news. Kenny Gainwell, second team preseason All-American on the AP team. How about that? That really made my day. Welcome back in, Brett, out until next Monday. Drew Barrett filling in. Carl Morris is our engineer. We're going to head down to Jacksonville here in a minute and talk with our friend who covers college football like nobody else. Puts out these notes every week, and I got to tell him, I'm going to start Brent Beard off this way. I actually had to give a chill pill to Drew Barrett yesterday. He was so mad, so upset that the Tigers were 26th in the preseason AP poll. They had 9 teams in there that aren't even playing football. And their rationale, Brett, their rationale was, well, we're putting them in because we're basing this on what they did at the end of last year. And then I'm going, okay. Well, Memphis finished 17th last year after winning 12 games. They beat Cincinnati twice, and Cincinnati's 20, and Memphis is 26. Huh? What? No continuity, no logic whatsoever. And you almost killed Drew Barrett.
I almost had a heart attack at 25 and peeled over and died.
Well, fortunately, you're still with us. I'm glad about that. But this... frankly, the AP came out actually before they made the decisions at the or made the mistakes they did at the Pac-12 in the Big Ten. But and a lot of this, guys, what you see in the AP poll and also the coaches poll is basically what you got in the magazines. It's what it amounts to. So. I would, and I would like to think that certainly anyone 27, especially with these other teams not playing, they could have risen up the rankings very quickly.
Well, I would imagine in the second, provided Memphis is a winner on September the 5th over Arkansas State, and a team that has won 8 games for the last 5 years, and they got an offense that is really, really good. By the way. If Memphis wins that game, I would imagine they would be somewhere around 19, 20, somewhere in there right off the bat.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, that's a good point. By the way, UCF 21.
I know.
In the poll. So, and speaking of, you mentioned Cincinnati a few minutes ago. Certainly, congratulations to Luke Fickell, who. In this COVID year that we have got, actually got a pretty good raise. I mean, look, $3.4 million is certainly nothing to sneeze at. They were very precise, I guess, and very meticulous in making the point that this came through private donations and fundraising, according to the athletic director, John Cunningham, especially when so many other universities right now are in a roller coaster ride as far as their finances are concerned.
I was actually going to ask you about that because I think Cincinnati had to cancel a few sports this year and furlough some people, and it was a little weird for them to come out with a contract extension for their head coach. But one thing I do want to get your opinion on, Brent, is the Texas Tech news from today that they're reportedly keeping practice open after 21 active cases of COVID-19. And is this a good or a bad thing for the restart that they're staying open and continuing to practice?
I think that's one thing that we're going to see more of, frankly, is the fact of if you've got players with it, you isolate them and you quarantine them, and everyone else just continues to play. I really think that probably is we're going to see more of that than less of that at this point, especially as we either closer to the start of the season or during the season itself. So
I think On the money.
They've still got. Well, I mean, we've still got. Particularly if you're an SEC school, the good thing about this is this is a reason right now you're buying time. That you start late is you've still got a month before you actually kick it off.
I think you're right. I think you'll see more of that provided this works. Now, if they go back and now you've got a whole position group like Oklahoma did last week where you wiped yourself out because you didn't pause, then you're going to have to change your philosophy. This is a little like we've been very critical of baseball for not using the taxi squad, for not really being very clear with how this protocol works, where we
the fact
know
that you have a 60-man roster and you're only using 30.
And those other 17 or 18 guys, they're sitting around in a different place and they're not being brought in.
Sure.
I don't quite understand that. And I think this is the way we will have to proceed unless we find out that it is a negative, that it actually increases your chances of more people getting it. And when that occurs, then they'll have to take a step back and figure out new protocol. But I think you're right. To begin with, this is the way it will have to be done.
Well, and guys, here's another aspect of this that I don't think has been talked about enough. When you've got, and this, to me, I think this is good, in that it involves so many different players that, listen, you're not only going to have to get your first team and second team ready, but for this year, guys, you may need to get a third team ready is what it amounts to. I'm not saying your starting quarterback backup. I think they'll protect a position like that. But this is one of those seasons where, I know Nick Saban mentioned it yesterday, to where at practice more of your players are going to have to play because they need to be ready in case you've got an outbreak. So, frankly, number one, I hope they don't have an outbreak. But number two, just to get some of these other guys ready in order for them to play, that they have a clue as far as what they're doing. I think for your whole team and your team morale, that's a pretty good deal.
We are getting a little bit of some breaking news here from the American. They announced they are going to postpone all competition and conference championships in the sport of men's and women's soccer and women's volleyball until the spring of 2021 to align with the NCAA championship season. So they are moving those sports now totally to spring. Football, obviously, is still going to be where it is.
You read that way too slow. I thought you were really about to drop the bomb on us.
No.
How slow you're reading that.
No.
You about gave me another heart attack. I need to call my doctor.
You thought I was going football, huh?
I did. You read it too slow.
Well, he didn't, which we're glad of. But at the same time, that certainly gives pause for sports for soccer and volleyball, but as they line themselves up too. So yeah, that's a great thing about Twitter and it being instantaneous the way it is now.
We've touched on this a little bit here, and you have it in your notes as well about the Board of Governors who on Friday dropped the bombshell, saying that all fall sports, whether you play or not, you get your year of eligibility and your scholarship back next year. In the case of Memphis, and I have yet to talk to an official about that, but I will bring it up with Ryan Silverfield on the very first TV show, which is going to be on Sunday, on ABC 24, by the way, switching from 30 to 24, just so folks know, and it'll be at 10:30. But that means a guy like Brady White could be around college football for 7 years. He's going to get his doctorate this year.
Right.
I don't know if there's any other degree he could get. If he stuck around, he would certainly become the all-time leading passer in the history of the school. He might do that in this year, let alone another extra year if he decides to stay. But, it is well-intentioned. It is absolutely for the student-athlete, and I'm always happy when things are good for the student-athlete. But I do wonder how much financial strain this will put on institutions, especially, I get it. If you're in the Pac-12, you're in the Big Ten, You didn't play this year. You deserve that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're in the SEC or in the American and you play, 10 of the 12 games you were supposed to play plus a bowl game, come on. Do you really deserve another year?
Well, I think what may have happened there too, Dave, is the thought of is, heaven forbid, if the conferences that are playing now get 3 games in or 2 games in, and they've got to go another direction. I guess they thought they would just give it to everybody without having a firestorm, frankly, in going with it. Now, what's also interesting with this is, and you were getting around to this, was what does it do as far as we say roster management,
right?
And how do coaches deal with some of that? So that's going to be interesting too. But I'll say this: I like this erring in on the side of caution here, and it's also going to give. I tell you guys, the thing this could do is it's particularly for some of your guys that don't play that much and they're on the verge of having a breakout year. This may make the difference in some guys going to the NFL or not, because I've got another year to stay around and I can help my team. So that could bode well. So all in all, listen, guys, we've never had a period of time where the rulings and this is from the NCAA Board of Directors, where the rulings coming from there have virtually every one of them, if you went back, what guys, the last several months, have been ruled in favor of the players, right?
Well, here's what the players have gotten in the last few years, right? They are leaning this way. They have gotten seniors could transfer without, or grads could transfer,
right,
without penalty. Name, likeness, image, which
right,
will take place next year. You're going to get a one-time waiver, which will replace the graduate transfer, but you're going to end up getting that. And you know what? I got to give them credit. They were right on this. They were smart on this. The reason they didn't grant that rule this year, and I heard them say it, was because, well, if some leagues don't play, we can't have schools or leagues having their whole team transfer so they could play. So they were right on the money, because right now you could have half the Pac-12 and Big Ten teams going, we want to go to Alabama and Clemson because we want to play this year.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you another thing that happened with that too, guys, and they admitted this. It was in the fine print, but the NCAA said, we are just overwhelmed right now, and we will get to this, and I think they will, and Dave's right. Next year, that rule will be rubber stamped, and we would get on with it. But when that was coming up, guys, in February, March, and April, when we first were heading into this stuff, and had no clue where we were going, they really did admit that their personnel were so overwhelmed that some of these things had to wait, and that was one of them. But you'll also say this: you still got stuff like that as far as a waiver is concerned, but that there are still some guys whose waiver has not either been approved yet, and or you've got Kate Mays at Georgia trying to go to Tennessee. That has been denied. They've appealed at this point, and you've got Joey Gatewood from Auburn to Kentucky, who, by the way, they play in the beginning of the season, and that's still out there. So in these situations, you've still got some interesting situations that haven't really been dealt with yet.
It certainly is going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, and especially with the eligibility, how many years is that really going to logjam scholarships and everything like that? So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out over time. But Brent, I believe yesterday after practice, Nick Saban made a point to state that him and his coaching staff and players, they're playing for the players and not for money. Do you 100% agree with what he had to say, or do you think he was just making coach talk?
Well, everybody is playing for money at this point that are playing, and I get that. Also, because right now you've got to have money in order to make the world go round as far as in college sports. But look, Saban is, and that's a good question. Saban always is making messages in the media for his current players and his future players. So don't think for a minute that doesn't have to do with them in recruiting and where that's going to go in the future. But I will say this, and I've talked to parents that have had kids play for him, and he's not the only one, but he has a real affection and love and communication with these players that would probably surprise some people as far as how he does things behind the scenes and how he helps them. So it's a little bit of everything there. And look, I know cynics can't escape the fact that there's money involved with this stuff at the same time. But believe me, that plays well with his players, present and future, when he says things of that nature.
I want to go to the conference now that is not playing. You know, there's two of them in the
yes.
Power Five. Nobody apparently in the Pac-12 has complained about not playing, which I find interesting, and I don't know why
really
that is the case. But we all know that there is a lot of pressure now on the Big Ten commissioner, who had to read this story and just wonder, when is this thing going to go away? Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Warren apparently did not listen to his ADs, because Nebraska's athletic director, Bill Moose, told a reporter, his name is Sam McEwen of the Omaha World Herald, that every AD wanted a 2020 fall college season, and he went to the chancellors and the presidents of the Big Ten and told them a different story.
How in the world can you, Frankie, and people are asking the question, how's he going to survive this? Which we won't know that until months from now. But that is such a tactical error on his part of not involving your people. And look, how do those ADs guys react to Kevin Warren on down the line? And I tell you this, as far as the pressure is concerned, guys, it is a drop in the bucket compared to what he's going to be hearing, say, come October. And the SEC is halfway through their schedule, and they played, and they've allowed their medical people and nutritionists, their coaches or trainers, to have faith in them to get their players through this. That's when they're really going to be howling. And also, if you're, say, an Ohio State fan and Cincinnati's playing and you're not, and the Bengals are playing and you're not, and high school football is playing and you're not, what in the world kind of reaction is that going to be from those Big Ten fans?
Well, you know what? He's got some other problems too. Not only has he got all these own ADs, right, who aren't going to trust him anymore.
Yeah,
he's got at least 3 commissioners that think he jumped the gun on him.
Yeah, no question.
So they don't trust him. And now here is the other thing that I've not really heard anybody say, but I know this to be a fact. Kevin Warren has a son who is on the Mississippi State roster.
Correct.
He's playing.
Yeah, he sure is. He's a tight end for them, Dave. And Warren said, he was asked about that, and Warren mumbled something about, well, we had some interesting, difficult family discussions about that. So, hey guys, I would imagine it probably in Kevin Warren's best interest. I doubt he shows up at Mississippi State this year watching his son to play.
I think that's a good bet, Brent.
I think it is as well. Brent, correct me if I'm wrong, but most Big Ten programs are still practicing right now, correct?
I think they're under the 20-hour rule at this point, or it may even be less than that, where they can do so. But yeah, and they want to try to play in the spring. The college football playoff comes out now and says we will honor a national championship this fall, but we're not going to carry that over to the spring, which makes playing in the spring look like an exhibition season is what that's going to be. So, guys, that's only going to add more pressure to them, is it not?
You know what they'll do? They'll play the Rose Bowl in May or June, and that'll be their championship.
Probably, yeah, absolutely. And look, guys, trying to sell playing in the spring right now. They're obviously doing that for recruiting purposes. And I mean, are they just going to play in dome stadiums, or get some situation like that? That is a Herculean effort in order to do it, and I think that's just lip service for them to continue to do what they're doing now.
So I was looking at your notes too about the capacity that these stadiums will have. Memphis is only going to have 4,000 people or so in a 60,000-seat stadium because the Shelby County Health Department here is dictating 12 feet spacing, social distance, for these games, at least at this moment. Bama's at 20%, Auburn 20%, Arkansas 23%. I don't know how they got to that. Georgia 20 to 25%.
They're going at 8.5 feet.
State 25. The most is these schools: Ole Miss, Missouri, Tennessee, A&M, all at 25%.
Well, there's several things about this real quick. One is what they're probably going to do is they're going to let your season ticket holders basically on average go to what, guys? A couple of games. And then try to spread it around where everybody has a chance to go. No, not everybody's going to be happy about that, but I think that's going to be the goal. And the other thing that's involved with this too, look, they've got to be very careful about how they treat these season ticket holders. Now, some of these schools were saying, okay, if you don't want to go to the game and just kind of give us your ticket money as a donation, we'll be glad to take that, which you were talking about people being out of jobs, that they very well may not be able to do that. But schools have got to be very patient, and I'm going to use this word, very kind about this, because the last thing you want to do is to strong arm some of your boosters and say, okay, if you don't like the present setup, we just need the money as a donation. They need these folks back. I think and hope they will treat them well. Gosh, I'd hate to be the ticket guy and have to figure this out. Wouldn't you guys?
I think the University of Memphis did the right thing with this. Here's what they did, just so you know, Brent. For knowledge, you can put it in your notes. They gave the fans an option, and they had like 16 or 17,000 season tickets, which if you're at the 25% capacity, you could get them pretty much all in.
Sure.
But you couldn't this way. So because the student athletes themselves get a certain amount of tickets, it's about 2,000. Those are going to get in. So now you're talking about 2,500. So what they did was they gave one of three opportunities that you had. One, you could make it a donation. If you did that, they guaranteed you would get in for one or two of the games because they would rotate those that made donations.
Right.
The second is you could apply it for next year because they need the money now.
Sure.
And if you were kind enough and you could afford it, please say, okay, apply that money, and I'll be a season ticket holder next year. That's option 2. And the third option is we'll refund you your money.
Right.
And I don't know what the breakdown is, but I would suspect the majority were the first two options. One was donation, and the other was we'll apply it to next year.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the more options you can give people, the better in this situation. Now again, we were talking about Cincinnati a few minutes ago. I believe Cincinnati was one of the schools that said we're not going to have fans at all. So, and look, unfortunately, there may be some that end up having to do that. I hope not, but I think right now, just to have some football, people would do just about anything to do that. So, yes, Memphis handled that well.
Brent, with the SEC doing the limited seating and, like you said, probably going to do a rotation with season ticket holders, do they have a plan to kind of or is it going to be a free-for-all Wild Wild West as far as ticket resale? Say I'm a season ticket holder and I happen to draw the Iron Bowl, and I can now sell my Iron Bowl ticket for $15-20 grand. I mean, are they going to try to stop that? If your name is on the ticket, you're the only one that can use it, or is it going to be a free-for-all?
I think it's going to be on a phone, isn't it? They're going to just show you. You're going to get it set electronically, and you show your phone. I believe.
Probably, but listen, that's a great question. I mean, we all know how people are. Are they going to try to find a way around that somehow? And it certainly brings up a legitimate point. But Dave's right. I think with this, with the modern technology, it's going to structure some of that out. Whether that was original intention, that may be one of the good side effects of that happening. But listen, don't think right now. there are a lot of people probably in their basement trying to figure out how to get around this.
Oh yeah.
I don't know enough about technology at all, but can the university, or however that is set up, their ticket office, they send it to one phone and it's only allowed that one transaction? Do they have that ability?
I'm sure they
or
probably
could you
do.
Transfer it?
Most tickets are transferable. I think you have to get approval through the university, if I'm not right, but I think they can make it to where you can't transfer it over. But
well, if you couldn't, then unless
but then
you
again,
give the guy your phone.
those tickets you are allowed to print out, and you could say my phone died. My phone might die, so I was going to print it out.
I don't think there's going to be any printing out. It's all going to be electronic. I'm pretty sure that's the way a lot of these people, a lot of these places are doing it. There's no paper involved at all. So you would just show your phone. Now, if you're going to pay $15,000, you might say, throw the phone in with it.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, now I think what's happened at some places is just because of sheer timing that they'd already printed the tickets and they're going to send them to as a commemorative ticket type thing, or just so you can have it, because that's a good point. There was a lot of this probably going on around April and May. Would be how would this be dealt with, and particularly the companies that print these tickets. And guys, y'all may know the numbers, but it is not cheap to print tickets for that many people, is it? So for someone who'd already done it, that's what I'd heard that they were going to try to do, was to send them the tickets, but basically you'd be getting in the game through your phone's what it amounted to.
He's Brent Beard. You know he's down in Jacksonville, Florida, and he is the SEC ACC go-to guy. Brent, we thank you very much. Next week, brush up on your Arkansas State Red Wolves, because the Tigers will be playing Arkansas State. We can't wait for that. Looks like it's going to happen.
Absolutely. Listen, any ball we get, guys, starting Saturday night onwards, it will be an absolute celebration, will it not?
It will. Absolutely. Have a great week, my friend.
Thank you. Take care.
Yeah,
Thanks, Brent.
Brent Beard. He is brought to you in part by our title and presenting sponsor. You know that. It's Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. Same place, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78. It's Lamar in Memphis. 10, 15 minutes away, you're there at what I think is the standard for the way car business should be done. Look, it starts with that product, and that product you get any new Genesis, any new Hyundai, you get a limited lifetime powertrain warranty, and now you get a 3-year, 36,000-mile maintenance package on every new vehicle. And by the way, the 2021s have started to arrive. I talk about that durability. That's when you get those kind of assurances. How about the fact that their safety technology is so good? Hyundai tied for the most number of top safety pick vehicles in 2020. This comes from J.D. Power. You want to see the best product, you want to see the best service, you go see my friends at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. Halfway through, we take a break. When we come back, NBA is front and center. The original beat writer of the Grizzlies. That's Ron Tillery. He is next.
Want to get your voice heard? Hit us up on the First Bank phone line or First Bank text line.
Hey everybody, these new Chevy open road deals are spot on for fall right here in Olive Branch at All Star Chevrolet. And I'm telling you, you could save thousands of dollars and get that new Chevy you want today. Blazers, Equinox, Impalas, Camaros, get an all new Corvette. Treat yourself. And more all new 2021 Tahoes are on the way. Come pick out the one you want before it even gets here. And I'm looking at more new Silverados than you'll find anywhere. Come drive one, drive them all. And don't forget to check out the certified pre-owned Chevys. If you don't find exactly what you want, tell them here at All-Star and they will find it and get it here fast with the best financing for everyone. Remember, it's not the Pike, not Collierville, not South Haven or Mount Moriah. It's gotta be Olive Branch, people. And everybody at All-Star Chevrolet has one job: to make sure you get a better deal, have more fun, and in record time. So find new roads to Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet or go check them out online at allstarautogroup.com.
What do you want a da-da-da? What do you want a da-da-da? I have no idea what a da-da-da. We could switch to Progressive da. Oh yeah? We could switch to Progressive and sa. Okay. We could sa and have to buy some za. Oh yeah, let's switch to Progressive da and get some za with the money we saw. Yeah! Now we know we're gonna da-da-da.
These days, nothing is normal and everything is weird. But you could still save big when you switch to Progressive. It might just be the most normal thing you da-to-da.
Quote to da at Progressive.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Changing your oil. We've got what you need. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Valvoline Max Life High Mileage Motor Oil and an STP oil filter for just $26.99. Plus a $5 bonus reward if you're an AutoZone Rewards member. Not a member? Signing up is easy. You can do it right here in store or on AutoZone.com. Getting the job done just got easier. Terms at AutoZone.com/rewards. Restrictions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Labor Day savings are now at the Home Depot, and your fall project list is now even more affordable. Use our mobile app to search, shop, and save. Flexible delivery options that bring everything you need right to your door. And if you need tools for a project, but not forever, you can rent them. You won't find a better toolbox anywhere else. Take on fall with Labor Day savings now at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. U.S. only while supplies last, valid through September 7th.
Start your day at Sunrise Memphis. Located in Midtown, enjoy delicious biscuit sandwiches and all their menu has to offer with quick and easy to-go and delivery options. Whether it's breakfast, brunch, or lunch, don't distance yourself from great food. For more information on Sunrise Memphis, visit sunrise901.com or call 901-552-3144 to place your order. Stay healthy and eat Sunrise Memphis today.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Ocean and Brett Norsworthy.
Halfway home on this Tuesday. I understand it is raining in certain parts of the city. Not so bad here at Ridgeway and Mount Moriah. We're going to talk some NBA with our friend Ron Tillery. We have to open with Ron Tillery in a very certain way. It is now in his contract. He has liked this so much that if we have him on, well, it's our duty now to bring him in this huge, huge way. Young man from the South Side of Chicago, preeminent Grizzlies beat writer of all time. That would be Ron Tillery. I can't get it any bigger, unless I scream, like most of these guys do. How are you, Ron?
I'm doing great, man. That's really cool. Don't you have a little Ray Clay in you? Isn't that the Bulls announcement?
You got to get really guttural, and I have to, Ron Tillery! I am the, now I got to tell you the truth. You're probably not old enough for this. When I first started going to the Bulls games, there was a guy, I really liked him. he didn't scream, but he had a very distinct style. So he would go, and this is when Guy Rogers was on the team and Bob Boozer. He would go, Bob Boozer, just like that. It was really well done. And then the Cubs guy was a guy named Pat Piper. And he'd go, attention, please. Now batting, number 14, Ernie Banks. Very, deliberate style. They didn't scream. They articulated.
I can't remember the Lakers guy, but that just reminds me of the longtime Lakers announcer in the Forum and also the Staples Center. Same way. Same, just kind of like deliberate and calm, but distinct.
Yeah. And they had great voices, and they use that style instead of just screaming the way the guys do it now. But people love it. So to each his own, I guess, is
well. I got to give
it.
props since we're on that topic. I got to give props to John Paul Stevenson, who
Houston now.
Yeah, he's in Houston and did a really great job for the Grizzlies. And then Rick Trotter, before he departed, had a really nice voice.
They have beautiful voices. I don't think anybody better than John Paul. And by the way, John Paul is doing he's doing the Rockets, but he's also doing the Houston Cougars at the end of last year. And still to this day loves Memphis. He moved there because family was there.
Yeah.
But he said he still considers Memphis home, and I appreciate it. He was so happy when he came over to see us. He goes, "I'm doing this now." I'm doing this now. Is how we do it.
All right. Yeah. I tell you what, he's so good that when Rick Trotter departed, the Grizzlies would fly John Paul in to do games,
right?
Until they settled on a new person. So that's how good he is.
That is quite the compliment. Speaking of the Lakers, since you said that, is can we just say they're moving on now that we know Damian Lillard is out of Game 5?
Yeah, I think it's a foregone conclusion. It's unfortunate for the Blazers because I think what really happened is, they just expended so much energy just to make the playoffs that before Damian got hurt, they struggled to score the basketball. I think one game he's only scored 88 points, and it just took a lot out of him just to pass up the Grizzlies. And then when you have an injury like that, as significant as it is, they don't have a shot without Dame.
You got to turn your mic on. There you go. Drew Barrett is going to ask you a question.
Sorry, my fault. My fault there, Ron.
No
staying with the Lakers, obviously, yesterday was Kobe Day. They wore the Black Mamba uniforms, had Gigi's number patched on the uniforms. Do you have a favorite Kobe Bryant moment or story you'd like to share from his memory for Kobe Day yesterday?
Great question, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that. Because,
you're welcome.
I didn't know Kobe like that, and I won't pretend to, but I do know this. The best interaction I had with him is when Pau was traded. Pau Gasol was traded to L.A., and the commercial appeal told me upon Pau's return to Memphis, they said, don't worry about these next few Grizzlies games. Just go down to Orlando and Miami and catch up with Pau. Those were the two stops before he came to Memphis. So I went to Florida, and I believe I was in Orlando. And, I'm talking to the Lakers about Pau, and Lamar Odom was very generous with his time. And so I'm talking to Lamar Odom about Pau. I think Derek Fisher was still on that team. And they just loved him, and so I had no issues getting content. But anyway, so I'm talking to Lamar Odom, and Kobe is overhearing us. I had no idea how I even get the chance to talk to Kobe. And he said, "You down here to write about Pau?" And I said, "Yeah." And he, it was like a ball hog. He took over from Lamar Odom. Wouldn't even let Odom finish, and started just gushing about Pau. He wouldn't shut up about Pau to me, and I just thought that was really cool. And I thought it said a lot about Pau, obviously, but I mean, he was excited, and he was very kind and generous with his time, and that's my Kobe Bryant story. I mean, that just goes beyond doing post-game interviews and stuff like that. I mean, he just literally overheard me interviewing teammates about Pau and just took over, as if he was in a game and he wanted to shoot all the shots. You know.
Since you brought up Powell, and I don't think I've ever asked you this, off the air or on the air. You were around Core 4, and we all think, I think anyway, John Moran could become the greatest Grizzly who ever put on the uniform. But at this point, when you just look at accomplishments, it probably comes down to one of the Gasol brothers as the greatest Grizzly at this point. Powell was Rookie of the Year in a Memphis uniform. Obviously didn't win a championship here. Mark was all position. At center, the best defensive player in the entire league, and took this team with that Core 4 to the Western Conference Finals. Who, in your mind, is the greatest Grizzly of all time in a Memphis uniform?
Well, I'm going to leave you with a little suspense. Now, I think Powell doesn't get enough credit for how good he was here. Rookie of the Year, very talented, very skilled player, a lot more skilled than Mark. And so, like you said, a lot of his Hall of Fame accomplishments did not happen in a Grizzly uniform. The greatest Grizzly is undoubtedly Zach Randolph. The whole party started when they traded for Zach. I mean, if you go back and look at it, Zach not only brought his double-double ability, he brought the toughness, and he brought the grit to this team. And I always argue that he allowed Mark to become Mark. There's a lot of times when good players play next to great players that they become the Scottie Pippen.
Right.
And so greatest Grizzly, and none of that would have happened without Zach Randolph. None of that.
Ron, switching back over to the playoffs going on right now, and obviously big news out of the big game tonight between the Clippers and Mavericks, with Porzingis being out for the second game in a row. Do you think that hurts the Mavericks' chance? I mean, he was out on Sunday and Luka went off. Do you think Luka can do it again tonight?
I think it'll be much more difficult for them because obviously they're going to game plan for Luka a lot better than what they did before.
Bingo.
For example, I mean, I'm sure Doc Rivers is saying, "Okay, Kawhi, I know you're the man and everything, but you cannot switch on a pick and roll like that, as he did when Luka hit that game-winning shot." So they're going to harass him, and they're going to make it a lot more difficult. Now, he'll get numbers, but, with knowing that Porzingis is out, they're going to say anybody's can beat us except for Luka.
I agree. The guy's going to get double digits. He's going to get in the 20s. Mm-hmm. He'll probably get close to a double digits in assists. I don't think he's going to get nearly the amount of rebounds that he got. Mm-hmm. And he won't get as many shots because they're going to double the heck out of him, especially without Porzingis in the lineup. Remember, they weren't sure if Porzingis was going to play the last game. Now they know he's not going to play this game. But are you impressed, as I am, with the way Dallas has quickly ushered out the Dirk Nowitzki era and brought these two guys together that look like they could be formidable in this what is becoming a younger Western Conference with a lot of talent?
Oh, I am certainly impressed. I mean, if we're just going to speak objectively, I would rather have the Luka Porzingis combination than Ja and Jaren, and that's not high criticism. I mean, that's just high praise of how talented Luka and Porzingis are in their youth. I mean, we're talking about some very, very skilled, like we were talking about Powell. I mean, just very skilled basketball players in all aspects of the game. And I know Porzingis shoots a lot of threes, but, I mean, he's an incredible rim protector and creates space for Luka just to roam around and do whatever he wants to do in space. And so, I mean, I think Mark Cuban has finally decided, the owner of the Mavericks has finally decided that he's ready to win again because he got that title and he was like, okay, I'm going to sit on this for about 10 years. But no, that's as formidable of a duo as any. you know, and I brought up the Grizzlies, and like I said, I'm not criticizing them, but I just will say this: I think everybody should be excited about the future with this franchise, and you know, and the talent of a Ja and a Jaren. But what the Grizzlies won't tell you is they probably have a 5-year plan. You know, I know the late great Michael Heisey threw out his 3-year plan, and he got wildly mocked. But when you think about the makeup of the Grizzlies, and to your point, Wolo, about the Western Conference, you know, I wouldn't expect them to be back in the playoffs next year. I mean, there's a lot of teams that are still better than them. And when you think about a team like Dallas, when you think about a team like Denver and Utah with Donovan Mitchell, look what he's doing in the bubble. You know, it's gonna be. You know, they're gonna have to wait their turn. I guess is the point I'm making. So, you know, we can mock a 5-year plan if you want, but I think that's what the Grizzlies are working with.
There's a lot of great duos. You know, I hate to say it, but they're probably better than the Ja Jaren at this point. If we're just like you can look at Phoenix even, right? And you've got Ayton and Booker. That's a pretty good duo.
Pretty good one.
Porzingis and Doncic, that is pretty good. You just mentioned the Denver center and Murray. What's his name? Nurkic.
The Joker. Let's just call him the Joker.
Yeah, Joker. And then, you know, Utah with Donovan Mitchell. Forget Mike, but you got Gobert in the middle. I mean, there's a lot of great duos in this league, in this conference.
In the conference, yeah. So like I said, it's not a knock on the Grizzlies, but these guys are only 20, and it's going to take time to put the right pieces around them. And I think what we're both saying in a different way is these other teams not only have the duos, but they have probably a better team around their duos, and that's something that's why I'm calling it a 5-year plan. You know, it started with Jaren, then they got Ja. So let's see what happens in the next 3 years.
I'm with you, and they're going to have, I think it's 4 first-round picks in the next 3 years or something of that nature. Well, they'll have plenty of opportunity to still get some talent. Last question for you, Ron. This is a tough one. Earlier today, the Detroit Lions canceled practice to protest the shooting of Jacob Blake, who, if you've seen that video, it would disgust the hell out of any human being.
Horrifying.
On Earth. And this took place in Kenosha, Wisconsin, which is not exactly that far away from where you and I grew up in Chicago.
That's right.
The Raptors, there's a story out now that Fred VanVleet says the team has discussed the possibility of not playing against the Celtics as a way to bring attention to the shooting of Jacob Blake by police. Does that really get obviously it sends a message to everybody. What do we accomplish from that? I'm not 100% certain. We know this thing is front and center, and I think the Lions in a practice make a great issue of that. Doing it in a game, is that the right way to do it? And I'm asking that question as I'm contemplating it myself.
Yeah, I want to thank you for asking me that question because I went upstairs where my son hangs out, playing that stupid PlayStation, and just it just so happens that he was watching First Take with Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman, and they were having a full-blown discussion about Mr. Blake's shooting, and I just want people who are listening to us right now to understand that, it's very difficult as a black father with a 17-year-old who is now driving to continually have conversations about how to conduct yourself with police when everybody, or I should say everybody, well, a lot of people say, well, all you have to do is comply. Well, I mean, okay, and you can still get shot in the back 7 times. So to your point about the professional athlete, I just think people ought to realize that just because you're a professional athlete, some people may even look at me and say, hey, you Grizzlies beat writer for 17 years. You covered the Sonics. You covered the Bulls. I mean, enough is enough. You're not immune to it. And then when you become a parent, and then when you have young people going out in the world who are good people. My son's an A student. You know, he plays varsity basketball since he was 15 years old. And it just doesn't make you immune. And then here's the other part of that. You know, just because you so-called made it or just because you have money doesn't mean that there aren't people in your family who are adversely affected by these horrific decisions that some cops make. So you live with it. You know, I guess that would be my point. You live with it. And then, you know, people are tired. You know, people are just tired. That man had an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old in that vehicle.
I know.
And, you know, and it's just...
what that policeman did was despicable.
So
it is beyond comprehension.
So
that is for certain.
I would just implore people to just try to understand the weight of that. You know, again, you know, I mean, like all those people, the Detroit Lions and the Raptors and the Celtics even had that conflict. Yeah, they're comfortable. Yeah, they got money. You know, but when you see LeBron James on TV, you got to understand he's got 2 sons. You know, when Trayvon Martin was murdered, the then President Barack Obama said, you know, when I see Trayvon Martin, that could be my son. So, you know, we're just hoping that it comes to an end. And another really quick story, and then I know you got to go. I always go over your break, but I'm gonna tell this real quick story. When I was 17 years old in Chicago, we had a half day, and me and a buddy of mine went to a park, Marquette Park.
I know where Marquette Park is on the south side of Chicago, by the lake.
Yeah, and we were shooting hoops, and you know, and a couple guys, you know, drove up on us and called us the N-word and threatened us, and we looked at each other and we just took off running to my car. I had a '74 Chrysler New Yorker, and Wolo, that sucker would not stop.
Oh no! Oh no!
So that happened to me when I was also 17 years old. I got pulled over by a cop. He gave me a ticket. It was a no turn on red from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And the ticket was written out at 7:23. And so I went to court to fight it. And the judge looked at him and said, well, why did you even write the ticket? And he did not respond, and which I couldn't believe. I was like, the judge just asked you a question. And then when he didn't respond, I said, well, you know, I just think this is just a travesty of justice. I'm 17, so, you know, I think I know everything.
Right.
I had to take out of school and blah, blah, blah. And she said, son, don't press your luck. Judge is white, the cop is white. And all I'm saying is people are starting to press their luck because, you know, that guy illegally searched my vehicle. And you just can't imagine, you know, what my life would have been like had he planted a gun, a drug, or anything.
Right. Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
And so everybody's got a story. You know, even LeBron James, even Donovan Mitchell, even Ron Tillery. So
well, let's really hope, and even as this thing happened to Jacob Blake after all of these protests have taken place, let's hope this is the final thing for all of this.
I got to tell you this. And, I said, well, nobody's been nicer to me than the Memphis police. all my troubles have come with the Chicago police.
I got to let you go because we are really on top of it. Thank you, Ron. We appreciate it. We'll do this again next week.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Thank you.
That is Ron Tillery, late for a break. We take it right now.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on AM 560, 96.1 FM, or 87.7 FM.
All 75 months at 2.99 APR, G4 LHFO 7857, Outlander LU 029538, Eclipse LZO 15617, includes all rebates and incentives. PF 59875, excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through the end of the month. Dealer stock only.
It's time to fully charge your summer with great savings from Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. You'll find 0% APR for 60 months, plus $500 cash back. Drive your ambition in a new 2020 Mitsubishi Mirage G4, $139 a month, or buy for $12,435, 41 MPG Highway. 2020 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport is ready for any adventure at $229 a month, or buy for $18,573. And cross over to summer in a 2020 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, $19,107 or $229 a month, backed by a stellar 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Mirage G4, $139 a month, Outlander Sport, $229 a month, and Eclipse Cross, $229 a month. Get to Gossett Mitsubishi today, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
At Advance Auto Parts, we have same-day delivery, same-day contact-free curbside pickup, and same-day in-store pickup to keep you going. And we have the right oil, right filter, right price every day to keep your vehicle going. Get 5 quarts of full synthetic Valvoline, Mobil 1, Pennzoil Platinum, or Castrol Edge with a Fram titanium oil filter for just $33.99. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
It is time for the final clearance sale at James Davis Men's Store in the Laurelwood Shopping Center. Listen to this, 70 to 80% off on all spring and summer merchandise. You heard me, James Davis, 70 to 80% off on all spring and summer merchandise. Unreal selection of sports coats and sports shirts for your next Zoom call. Limited selection of shorts and knits, but there are some. If you get there, you'll get 70 to 80% off. Here's some of the brands you can save on during this incredible sale. Peter Millar, Sandstrom, Mac 5 Pocket. I'm talking 70 to 80% off while it lasts. The only place in Memphis that you can find the Stant custom shirt and pants system. Only at James Davis, this exclusive store for this unique custom fitting apparel where shirts start as low as $98, pants at $168. Go see it to believe it. The clearance sale at James Davis.
Hi, I'm Greg Gaston for Window Genie. Window Genie is a trusted name in window cleaning, but they do so much more. They can take care of your home or business. They clean interior and exterior windows with a streak-free guarantee. They clean gutters, do pressure washing and house washing. They can also clean and seal concrete, brick, and natural stone. Locally owned and operated, insured and bonded. Get your free estimate today and ask for the Sports 56 discount. Call 901-424-4100 and leave the dirty work to Window Genie.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Final moments of hour number 2. We had Dr. Joris Emre, the superintendent of schools, on yesterday, and he is forming a committee to think about departing from the TSSAA. And I've had several phone calls today about that interview we did yesterday, including where would they go? Well, the latest I'm hearing now is that Dr. Ray is trying to form an alliance possibly with schools in North Mississippi and with those that are in eastern Arkansas. You could have a tri-state athletic association.
Makes sense. Make a tri-state league. I mean, pretty much. I mean, a lot of schools from Shelby County do play schools from DeSoto County and vice versa over into West Memphis. So start your own league. If you don't like the one you're in and you think that they're biased racially and geographically, then make something better.
True. If indeed there is that bias, and many people think there are, both certainly
I
geographical, and some think that there is a racist part of that. The one thing is there are things we don't even think about, like the catastrophic insurance that the TSSAA comes up with. Where would the money come from that? There is an economic part of the model that has to be taken into consideration. But certainly, if you've got enough schools with wherewithal, you could probably make something like that happen, a tri-state athletic high school association. Interesting thought. We'll see where it all leads to in the next few months. In the meantime, we know when we return, Bo Marchant from collegetopro.com on the NFL. That is next.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
At First Bank Mortgage, their core purpose is to help you get to a better place. That better place may be a lower monthly payment, that vacation you thought was impossible, or getting into a home with a fenced backyard where your kids can play. To get into your better place, First Bank Mortgage makes decisions right here at home. Dedicated to helping you get to your better place, First Bank Mortgage. Call Daniel Mooney at 901-462-0145 today. NMLS 741022. Equal housing lender.
Hey folks, I'm Jarrett Carter. My family recently purchased East Memphis Ace Hardware in White Station, and we're excited to offer the best selection of Big Green Egg and Traeger grills. And then don't forget about our Benjamin Moore Paint Studio and the Garden Center for flowers. Save 60% with our new Duracell key fob replacement program. We have a master locksmith service as well as glass cutting and screen repair. The East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station behind Three Little Pigs.
I'm giving Jeb's Basement Renovations 1 star. He kept asking me what's behind the walls down there. I'm like, why? What do you know?
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
And then he's like, you can trust me with the job. And I'm all like, trust?
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial, auto, and business insurance.
Yeah, he charged me less than he said he would, which is lying.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
Hey everybody, these new Chevy Open Road deals are spot on for fall right here in Olive Branch at All Star Chevrolet. And I'm telling you, you could save thousands of dollars and get that new Chevy you want today. Blazers, Equinox, Impalas, Camaros, get an all-new Corvette. Treat yourself. And more all-new 2021 Tahoes are on the way. Come pick out the one you want before it even gets here. And I'm looking at more new Silverados than you'll find anywhere. Come drive one. Drive them all. And don't forget to check out the certified pre-owned Chevys. If you don't find exactly what you want, tell them here at All-Star and they will find it and get it here fast with the best financing for everyone. Remember, it's not the Pike, not Collierville, not South Haven or Mount Moriah. It's gotta be Olive Branch, people. And everybody at All-Star Chevrolet has one job: to make sure you get a better deal, have more fun, and in record time. So find new roads to Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet or go check them out online at allstarautogroup.com.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Waldo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome back in. Final hour on this Tuesday. Brett Norsworthy off until next Monday. Drew Barrett is filling in. Carl Morris is our engineer. It's been a good day. Numbers again down for COVID. In fact, we're seeing a really nice shift when it comes to numbers and fatalities and testing, under 7% positive testing, 6.8 to be exact, on 1,800 tests today. Hospital beds more and more available. If we're looking for trends and did masks and social distancing, which became mandated by Mayor Strickland, it's worked. There is no question in my mind it has worked. And because of that, we will see college football a week from Saturday. By the way, good news in that front today. Kenny Gainwell named second-team All-American at running back. And this also just sort of in the Amway coaches poll. We've been complaining about this AP top 25. Memphis at 26. AP coaches poll panel will only include voters from schools playing this fall.
Top
so the
15,
coaches poll
easy right there,
is
man.
going to get you into the top 15, probably almost certainly. In the meantime, we're going to talk some NFL football. We do that every week in this time slot with our friend from collegetopro.com. That would be Bo Marchant. Bo Marchant, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. How's the day treating you guys?
It's good. It's
No
good.
complaints?
And, and numbers are going down with COVID, and the Tigers running back is second-team All-American. It's really a pretty good day, although to spring. And so I know this isn't necessarily, although you are college to pro, but we have talked a little bit about how the NCAA Board of Governors blanketed the ability for whether you play or not, you are getting that extra year back. And we're going to see now that will really pay off with soccer and volleyball, because now those kids will not lose that year or their scholarship as granted by the NCAA. In football, it's kind of crazy, though. If Memphis plays the 10 games they got scheduled and then a championship game and then a bowl game, 12
Super
games
seniors,
right there.
let's go. 6 years.
And they get to play again without losing a scholarship. That's pretty interesting for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely new territory. I wish I could comment more on it. I still think things could change as we go down the road if the circumstances change with COVID and colleges have to change, what their initial plans are in terms of, scholarships and what these young men and women are going to be able to do in terms of, eligibility, and does these scholarships follow through another year. And props, love Kenny Gainwell. I'm excited for him. But Memphis has had a little lineage over the last couple of years of producing some talented backs, but he seems really special.
Well, just so you know, I'll repeat what I said a little bit earlier when Mike Norvell was the coach, and we had 3 running backs that were super. 2 of them are in the NFL. That would be Tony Pollard and Darrell Henderson. The other one could end up being, he stayed last year for his final year. His name is Dorland Dorcius, and because this year is so crazy, I don't know that he really gets a true shot like he might have, but Dorcius is a really good player. Yeah, those 3 guys, and Mike Norvell was telling me the best running back on this team in the long run is going to be Kenny Gainwell. So keep that name in mind. He's only a junior this year, but he could leave after this year because it would be 3 years since his high school class graduated. There is a story today that is heartbreaking, and it is one of social messaging, and that is the Lions canceled their practice today to protest the shooting in Kenosha, Wisconsin of Jacob Blake. If you've seen the video, most Americans have now. It is sad, it is tragic, it is disgusting. I think we're all in agreement there. And the Lions, I guess, wanted to demonstrate how wrong this is, and this was their way of sending that message.
Yeah, well, Drew texted me earlier, and he brought up, the Roger Goodell being on Emmanuel Archo's show. So I watched the 2 podcasts, and kind of preluding to what we may discuss. I was kind of thinking, what the Lions did, and I think the message, at least I got from Roger Goodell, the commissioner, was the NFL does want to put a real emphasis on not only speaking about making change and allowing these players to show their voice, have their voice be heard, but I think this is a legitimate stance where they're allowing this team. There's no backlash from the teams or the leagues or owners. It's hey, this means a lot to you. This is an injustice. You guys want to stand for this. This is and I thought it was watching that today coinciding with what the Lions did was kind of a weird thing, because I'm like, well, what Gordell at least said that they wanted to do, and kind of, how they kind of dropped the ball the first time. They really want to make sure that they don't do it a second time. So, applaud the National Football League for allowing these guys to, hear their voice, made their voice be heard, and say that, this is very meaningful to them. It impacts their livelihood, and they want to make a stance, and the National Football League is going to support them in that.
And apparently in that podcast, he was referring to Colin Kaepernick and said, we made the mistake of really not listening. And that was the more popular side at that point across America. It might not have been the right side, but it was the more popular side. And now the commissioner, he's either become much more socially aware, or it is a better position for him to be in. I would prefer to think that we've all grown up in all of this. I know that when it occurred for me, it was, this is what America's all about. I don't necessarily agree with Colin Kaepernick, but in America, we are allowed to voice our dissent. And he paid the price. And I think the commissioner, in retrospect, is correct. And I know there will be a bunch of people on our text line who've already talked a little bit about this thing, or written one guy in particular that was offended by it. So be it. He's got his right to an opinion too.
He can turn the station if he wants.
It won't be the most popular thing, but I think this is the right thing.
Yeah, I think so. And I thought Roger, because I thought he came across well. I learned a lot about him that I did not know. In terms of his father walking with Coretta Scott King, Martin Luther King's wife, in a Vietnam march, and that kind of changed how his father lost his Senate seat. He realized the Vietnam War was not the direction. He said his father actually went to the colleges, went out to the people who were most upset about what was going on in our nation at that time, and he changed his views. And he said it was something he stood for initially, but once he listened and learned, he changed his stance. And he said he told the family at dinner one night, he goes, "I'm changing my stance on the Vietnam War." He goes, "and that's probably means I'm not going to be reelected." And he wasn't, and life goes on. So, I learned a lot about him in those 2 10-minute episodes. And hopefully the NFL, and he said it in his I want to call it a podcast, but his
I think that's what it was. It was a podcast.
Yeah. Well, for Gordell a couple months back, saying we're gonna go through this together. We're gonna support you, and we messed up, and I apologize, and so it's a good thing. But again, the tragedies today, they have to stop. It just creates more unrest. It creates more, and both sides. For one side not to understand that this isn't right. I don't know, but hey, football's getting close, I guess. So, and kind of takes our minds off all the important things. Really, those are the important things. Sports are just the leisure thing that we can kind of talk about and get a release from. So hopefully we can just get back to seeing what these guys are meant to do, and that's play football.
I think you're exactly right, Bo. I think with that interview, Roger Goodell came off more genuine, came off to be an actual real person, and I didn't really think that he was hiding anything. It felt like he was actually speaking from the heart, and I loved the things that he was talking about of listening and learning, and that's exactly what the NFL is going to do going forward. But 2 training camps, because we are close to football, and the big explosion in Owings Mill, Maryland, last Friday with Earl Thomas that led to his release in a matter of less than 48 hours. That whole situation is just mind-blowing to me. But when you read about it, it feels like if it wasn't this straw that was going to break the back, it was going to be another one.
Yeah, plus, they were due to pay him some serious money. I think $10+ million.
$10 million guaranteed this year.
Yeah, so there, there's a lot of variables I think to go into that. Not that he, he is an aging player, not on the rise of his career, he's on the downswing of it. I kind of go a la Ray Rice. If Ray Rice was at his peak, it probably wouldn't have been so easy. Even with the video of what he did, it's when guys are past their prime, it's a little bit easier to pull the trigger.
I think Ray Rice could have been in his absolute prime.
Yeah,
and that video sealed his fate. There's no doubt about that.
They would have brought him back, though. They would have waited for
probably.
suspension and something. That's what I'm saying. He was already past his prime, do a ton of money. So it's just, but for Earl Thomas, I think in that set of circumstances, what he did obviously really, really upset the Ravens, but I think they also looked at it as, this could be the conduit, if you will, to allow us to get him off the books and we move forward. But, if the play is still demanding of NFL quality, I mean, he's going to get picked up somewhere. And if that doesn't happen, I don't think, a fight on the field with a teammate is going to, get him disbarred from, playing somewhere else. But one thing is, you think of Seattle, he ran his time there and, he showed, so much, adornment for the Cowboys and wanting to play for them. But at the end of the day, time catches up with everybody. I do think he'll play. I think he gets signed, not to the money that the Ravens had to, avoid.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, but big news. I mean, that was a team, but, big playoff shock last year to the Tennessee Titans. And, and they got high expectations this year. I thought their draft was fantastic, year 3 of Lamar Jackson. So, a lot riding on the Ravens being successful. But, I think they can get by. They have the moxie and the staff to kind of, I think, weather the storm of an aging veteran.
Here's the question I have. Are they off the books for that $10 million? They cut him for.
They're trying to, but he's going to fight it. He's going to try to get his guaranteed
fight
money.
That tooth and nail because I don't know that is not like going out and getting arrested, having domestic violence. This is a fight at a practice. That doesn't seem to me like you get off of $10 million for that.
Yeah, that I don't. We talk about the contract language last time. In terms of whatchamacallit getting released, and I said there was probably something in Gerald McCoy's contract, and lo and behold, there was writing. They knew that he had a pre-existing injury, and if this injury cost him, and it ended up doing it, that they would part ways. So it could be detrimental to the team. There could be certain language in these contracts that void them. I don't know. I'm not privileged to it. We just see basically the numbers and dead cap money. But at the end of the day, there could be language in there. I'm sure they know that, by them doing this, they have a good out. I don't think they would go to this point to release them over money if they couldn't. But again, if it was that violent, we've never seen anyone get released over a fight, especially during training camp. That's
where we see him happen multiple times a year.
That's just what you do at training camp, especially. You're hot. These veterans don't want to be out there doing it anyways. I already know the playbook. They have enough reps, and lo and behold, this guy gets axed for it. So I think there's just a little bit more. If he was making a bare minimum salary, then I would say, hey, you know what, this is a nasty guy. But you could argue he's a borderline Hall of Fame type figure. What he's been able to accomplish over his career. So, like I said, I didn't see the fight. I don't know the details of it. But at the end of the day, I just think there has to be a parallel between the money and that fight and the Ravens possibly looking for that option to, get him off the books.
Speaking of camps, Mike McCarthy told Patrick Walker from CBS Sports that it's Super Bowl or bust for the Cowboys. Make no bones about it. Talk about putting pressure on yourself. Why the world would you do that?
He just must have been feeling confident, had a good practice that day. Yeah, those are big words, and he probably regretted it instantly after he said it. But then again, he's a first-year coach, but he's a veteran coach. Maybe he's just trying to inspire this team. On paper, and granted, on paper, certain teams can look as good as anybody, but that same team was on paper last year, and they struggled to win big games. They struggled down the stretch. They blew the division to the Eagles when they had they had time and time again each week. If they could just muster up a win, they would have won that NFC East. So at the end of the day, maybe McCarthy's just trying to motivate the team. But on the flip side, that is something that we're going to talk about that quote for as many weeks as the NFL plays, and if the Cowboys start to sour, and even if they don't sour and they have tremendous success, that's probably going to be a quote that we kind of go back to and reference on.
Bo, going to another team through training camp down in Atlanta, coming out today, their OC sees that Todd Gurley's could possibly be a 25-touch-a-game type of guy. Do you think he's going to be able to turn around a team that finished 7-9 into an actual playoff contender, especially in that division that has Drew Brees and now Tom Brady?
Yeah, well, when we did our NFC South quarterbacks, I put Ryan number one because
that's right, you did.
Yeah, I did. So I'm all aboard with the Falcons. When Dan Quinn stepped aside from the defensive side of things and kind of did more coaching, they really turned the tide. And I know that's his forte, but they turned the corner. They were started off. I think, I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, I think they're 5-2 their last 7 games. I mean, they really turned things around. Even Gurley last year. I mean, if you really watch, not just check your stats on your fantasy team and just see what Gurley had in terms of numbers, but if you watch the Los Angeles Rams and McVay and how that offense was just stagnant, they had no running game. Even when he showed some life, I mean, nobody could run behind that line. And you think, a year or two prior, I mean, everybody, Malcolm Brown, Gurley, anybody you gave the ball to looked like the next coming of Walter Payton. But that was not the case last year. I still have faith that Gurley can be a productive running back in this league. I loved him coming out of Georgia, obviously the knee. And, it's one thing, he missed, I think, a game or two last year. But, everyone talked about, the knee. And we had a guy in Winnipeg. It sort of had the same procedure done, and he was told during contract talks, your knee's never going to get worse, or it's never going to get better. It may get worse, but and I think that's where Todd may be in his career. The knee's never going to get back to where it was, but it may get worse, and that's just part of it. But I think at the end of the day, I think he's an invaluable piece when the Falcons are at their best. And I know they've had coaching changes and whatnot, but you think of Michael Turner and the Matt Ryan days. You think of Devontae Freeman, and now bringing Gurley in. I just think with Ridley and Julio and Ryan, Hayden Hurst, they brought him in from Baltimore. I just think that's going to be a very dynamic and explosive offense.
I love great stories, and Gardner Minshew to me is one of the great stories of all time. Gardner Minshew couldn't make it at East Carolina, which was stupid because we all knew he was really going to be a good player, and for whatever reason, switching of coaches and a dumb coach that didn't last, who went away. Gardner Minshew was going to Alabama to be like fourth string to learn how to be a coach.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. Then he goes to Washington State, and now he's world renowned, Jacksonville's quarterback. So this promotion, I don't know if you've seen this story. I'm sure you have, Bo.
Yeah, it's excellent.
He has become the choice of a beer company, hey, we could say it's Bud Light, to if you have a football league, a fantasy football team, and you choose him in your as your quarterback, and you win with him, you can win a free case of beer, and if you win your championship, you have a chance to win free Bud Light for an entire NFL season.
Can I switch it to Budweiser? Because Bud Light's not that good, I love Budweiser.
I think it's Bud Light, but what the heck? I mean, how did they choose Gardner Minshew?
Free beer.
How did this happen?
It's Minshew mania. I mean, he just has that hipster 1970s Ken Stabler, that he's just got a moxie to him that, draws that. He's got the Fu Manchu sort of looking mustache going on, and it's just who he is, and he just, he just brings that to him. And when I heard it, I just, what a fun thing. And, these fantasy teams, they're all going to start going off as we, get close to the NFL kickoff. And yeah, but he has to be a first round pick. So I believe he has to be a first round pick. So even if you take him in round 2, 3, right, you don't get the opportunity. But again, and I told you guys, even when we did the AFC South quarterbacks, if he was a first round pick, the way he played, we would have been. I think we should marvel at the way he played last year, especially on that team. And when you're a guy late or undrafted, you kind of got to. It's kind of like your college football top 25. If you start at 12, it's a lot harder to get to 2, and then if you're already sitting at 3, and I kind of looked at Minshew like that. He started from the bottom, and now he's here. And, he's doing the best with it. And I thought he had a phenomenal year. I hope he doesn't have a sophomore slump. And, the Visca Chenault, I've been hearing rave reviews about the receiver they drafted in round 2. And, he should be a dynamic piece for him. At the end of the day, I'm a Minshew guy. Mike Leach is always very kind to me. He's always responds to my texts. And, when Minshew started to catch fire last season, I peppered him with a couple of questions, and he got back to me, and he said, this kid is just wonderful. People just don't realize how hard he works. He's intelligent. He's a student of the game. And, he basically, not that we was going to say anything bad about him anyways, but, he really expressed a real sense of, appreciation what he brought to the program, and you could tell that he really thought highly of him as a not only a player, but as just a young man.
I can tell you that if I had to pick between 30 and 32, no question, I'm taking him for the chance for the Bud Light.
Yeah. But switching over to the last team Bud Light did a promotional with the Browns, if whenever they actually won a game, they were going to give out free beer at the bar in Cleveland. Why am I still seeing quote-unquote experts on the National Football League still thinking that Cleveland can get it done?
Well, I mean, they have talent. I guess the talent is the factor, Drew. I mean, when you look at that roster up and down, I mean, they have really turned things around. And when they were bad, they were just bad because they had no talent. Now that they have to learn how to win with all that talent, I think that was the problem last year. And I think very few teams, considering where they were, I mean, you're talking about a team that won, 2 or 3 games in 3 years, and now that people are claiming that not only going to win the division, but they're a sleeper Cinderella Super Bowl team, and I just think a lot for them to come. I mean, you think Baker was going in the year 2 as well. I mean, there was so much hype around this team, a lot for them to learn, and I think that learning experience, the setback of that 6-10 year when expectations were so high, I think it's a good thing for Cleveland as they come through. Again, they're in a good division. I mean, we know the Ravens are going to be there. They're the class of this division right now. If Ben's healthy, the Steelers' defense is as good, if not better, than anybody's in the league. And you got some pieces, and then you have the Browns there. And the Browns have the talent; they just have to learn to win. They're in a first-year head coach with Snoffy, and if he can pull these guys together, and they can do. But a couple of injuries. I mean, Grant Tippett, their safety from LSU, he's out. Mac Wilson, I don't know if he's out for the year, but, he was carted off last week. He was going to take over for Joe Schobert, who went to Jacksonville. He was going to be an intricate piece for that defense. So, injuries happen to everybody. It's about, winning without the guys that are supposed to be the number ones. But, they're going to be right there. I think, bare minimum, I think they're 8-8. I think they definitely finished better than 6-10. And, I think last year, good learning experience. The hype isn't there now. There's so many other things going on that, COVID and, these guys going to be able to play. So I just think at the end of the day, things being quieter for Cleveland is going to help their success long-term in 2020.
Here's our friend Bo Marchand from collegetopro.com. Just think, next week we'll be talking college football because it's starting, and then right after that we got the NFL. It's almost here, and it looks like it's going to happen, Bo.
I know. I was down it a lot, but it really appears that it's on the horizon. It's going to be an exciting time for everybody.
Thank you, my friend. Have a great week. We'll talk to you
Stay
next
safe,
Tuesday.
Thanks,
you.
Bo.
That is Bo Marchand, collegetopro.com. Brought to you by Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. Ken knows you're making a commitment when you call him because he only does great things. Renovations, he'll take your older house, make it a modern palace. If you're looking for land, he's got it. If you're got a piece of land that you're not sure what to do with, he knows, and all you got to do to see what I'm talking about is go to kengarland.com. Then you'll see all the palaces that he and his father over the last 40 years have built all around the Memphis Metroplex. And, he works closely with his clients. He knows how important it is, and he wants to make sure they get exactly what they should expect: quality construction, on time, on budget. And that's been their creed for 2 generations. Ken Garland Custom Home Builders, as I said, will supply land for you. Sometimes they're involved in new developments, like a Leylon. That's a gated community by Boyle on Messick Road, east of Kirby to McVeigh. 4-bedroom homes starting at $875,000. Please go see what I'm talking about and then just chat with him. He's that rare individual, sees big picture and little details all at the same time. 751-1632. Give him a call. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Back in a minute, we will head to Indy, our good friend who writes college basketball for the Sporting News. I think he's the best national college basketball writer in America. His name is Mike DeCourcy, and he's next.
R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m., Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1. Don't miss us.
This hour of our show brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road. Go online, check them out at DeSotoAutoSales.com and check out all the happy referrals and look at all the beautiful cars. 662-890-7184. Every car test driven, all checked out, bumper to bumper. head to toe, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you. No shortcuts taken at DeSoto Auto Sales, where you're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, no high-pressure sales. They treat you well. They know we're living in a world today that time really matters, so they care about your time and want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. You walk in within 45 minutes, test drive your car, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're gone in less than an hour, about 45 minutes in time to do it over your lunch hour or immediately after work, like right now at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales.
Farmers Insurance knows that when you're in the car and that song comes on, yes, that's the one, you have no choice but to pull out your imaginary drumsticks and smash those cymbals and stomp on that kick pedal, which unfortunately is the accelerator pedal. And we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent who knows a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Save now on your 2021 swimming pool at Family Leisure. Buy now at 2020 pricing and save your spot for the first installation of 2021. Patio furniture 20 to 30% off. Play gyms in stock. Beat the heat with an indoor game table or slate pool table. Pool toys and floats up to 30% off. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Family and fun come together. Right now, savings count more than ever. So what if you could unlock extra savings on any project? With an extra 5% off all eligible purchases using the Lowe's Advantage card, you can. From an extra $6 off sanding that deck to saving another $75 on that new fridge. The extra savings make every project even better. Last year, cardholders saved over $300 million. Join them and start your next project with a Lowe's Advantage card. Subject to credit approval. Exclusions apply. See store or Lowe's.com for details. U.S. only.
Are you still wound up after the game? Still thinking about that one play over and over that you can't fall asleep? Sound familiar? Try ZzzQuil Pure Z's Melatonin Gummies. It helps you fall asleep naturally. Pure Z's is made with an optimal level of melatonin for no next-day grogginess. Plus, it's made with botanical ingredients like lavender and chamomile. Tastes great and is drug-free and non-habit forming. ZzzQuil Pure Z's Melatonin Gummies, because sleep is a beautiful thing. Find it at retailers near you.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Waldo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome back in. A reminder, Brett will be back with us next Monday. He is in the midst of a couple of weeks off, well-deserved vacation. Drew Barrett with me. And we are, it's always a pleasure to chat with our friend from the Sporting News, who I think is the premier national college basketball writer in America. His name is Mike DeCourcy. And Mike, yesterday on a Zoom meeting, Penny Hardaway talked to all of us in this market, and he was chatting about what he thought might be small pods, a little like mini bubbles like the NBA has done. You might go with 4 or 6 teams to a certain area and play for a week. That is out there. What do you think college basketball will look like when it commences, and when do you think it will commence? Good afternoon.
Hello, Dave. It's great to talk to you. I think when the ideal time to me would be in the December window, in that month. That's when they should start, because what you're going to have at that point, the colleges that are virtual only are going to be virtual only, however, whenever they stop, so that goes wherever it needs to go. Those that have been on campus and hopefully will make it to Thanksgiving on campus will, nearly all of them, have accelerated to an extent their semesters. A lot of them came back to campus earlier than ordinarily. Most of them eliminated their fall breaks, and they're going straight through to Thanksgiving and are going to be more or less done when students go home for Thanksgiving. And then the students will not return in most of those cases until sometime in January, and perhaps some later in January than ordinarily be the case. And so that gives you a big window to play games where you don't have a lot of people physically on campus. You can create a bubble situation for as long as you like, really, for as long as you can afford in a lot of cases. Either by going to like at some of the leagues that have less resources could go to a campus and use dormitories and use the facilities on those, whether it's let's say they have a practice court and a main gym or something like that, and maybe there's another high school in town or something that you could use. Depends on the league and the circumstance. But you could almost get a full league season in the month of November, in the month of December. I think that's an approach that could be used, and I know there's been some discussion about some leagues doing that sort of thing. I know that ESPN has talked about the possibility of creating non-conference bubbles that would be related to the various tournaments they own.
Right.
Wouldn't be just the tournaments. You'd be going for 3 games, but they would take those teams and they would play more games among the teams, or perhaps integrate the teams from one tournament or another. I mean, they already have the setup built by the NBA for the NBA in Orlando. There's no reason to take that down since that ESPN owns it, and they have so much time to program in December. And it appears that the NBA will not be back then, so they'll have all those windows that I'm sure that ESPN would love to have college hoop that they could put on television.
But there won't be the Maui, which they televise. There won't be the one the Tigers were going to go in the Bahamas. I don't know if they own that one or not, but
is
they
that
do.
the Atlantis one?
Yeah.
I don't know if they own it, but they televise it. I know they don't own Maui, but they own the Orlando tournament,
Right.
what used to be the Old Spice Classic.
Right.
I know Memphis has been in there. I don't know what they call it now.
I think it's the
they own-
AdvoCare now, I believe.
Yes, that's right. They own the one, the wooden one out in L.A. So they own. There's one in Charleston that they own. They have a ton of them, and they can put those all into Orlando and basically run the same, a very similar sort of exercise to what they've already shown they can accomplish very effectively with the NBA.
Mike, through all of this, it seems like the NCAA has done a decent job, I guess. Well, I guess a more timely job would be a better way to phrase it, of dealing with transfer waivers throughout college basketball, unless you're wanting to play for the University of Memphis. Do you agree? Do you think they've done a good job with transfer waivers through all this?
Well, I'm not a fan of transfer waivers, to be honest with you, although I think that those that are granted because of the virus situation makes sense. It's the one reason that I can see why one would be granted. Like the Johnny Juzang, who had played as a freshman at Kentucky, went home to California. it's a long, it's 2,500 miles away from home. I can understand why he would not want to be that far away from home in this situation. And I get those. Some of them have been a little bit more mystifying to me. If you're going to waiver everybody, you should just go straight to immediate eligibility. I've never been a fan of that as a concept. I think that it's going to shortchange a lot of athletes in the long run. From an educational standpoint, you get less free college. From an athletic standpoint, you're more likely to get used by a team that's looking for a stopgap measure rather than somebody that they want to invest in making a significant part of their program. And so I've never been a fan of the immediate eligibility. I know that I'm fairly rare in that situation among journalists, people who analyze college basketball or college football. But I don't think that my colleagues look at it that way. They look at it like, well, a coach can leave and work immediately, but it's not the same thing. I mean, the coach often has to pay $500,000, $1 million in order to be able to do that. A college athlete doesn't have to do anything; they just have to leave. Which, again, they shouldn't have to. I'm just saying that the trying to make those two things an equivalent is not it doesn't work. And I do think that what they're missing is the damage that will eventually be done to the athletes that take advantage of that circumstance.
You do think, though, I know they did not grant it this year, which was really, in retrospect, wise, because think of the chaos you could have right now with football. Had you granted the 1-year free waiver, you would have Pac-12 and Big Ten athletes all wanting to transfer to the Power 5, the 3 Power 5 school conferences that remain. So they were wise not to do that at this point. But almost everyone seems to feel it's a done deal that when this pandemic is over, that there will be a one-time free transfer rule where there will be no penalty of sitting out. Don't you agree?
Yeah, it's going to happen. It'll happen they have a convention in January. It'll get passed there, and as will the name, image, and likeness in some form. Exactly what they'll do with the name, image, and likeness remains to be seen. I thought that the work that was done by Val Ackerman of the Big East and Gene Smith of Ohio State and their working group was pretty effective. But since they put the document out there, it's been a lot of pages have been torn and shredded, and some things have been marked out. So we don't know what it'll look like when they finally get it on the floor in January. But we'll have that as well. And so college athletics are in for more revolutionary change.
No doubt. You wrote an interesting story on just because of the change that we may see. This was in regards to if we don't have a lot of non-conference, if this is all conference play, if that's the way college hoops are, the committee would have a really tough time figuring out how they're going to get people to the NCAA tournament. I love the story. If you talk a little bit about that, and if you're pretty certain we'll have an NCAA tournament this year.
I am 99.9999% certain that there will be an NCAA tournament. What form it will take and how it will be structured it remains to be seen. I know that about a little less than 2 weeks ago, Mark Emmert discussed the possibility of reducing the field. Now, the article that I wrote was presumptive of a better situation in March than it looks like we're headed toward relative to the virus. And so I suggested the possibility of expanding the NCAA tournament. And actually, it wasn't my idea. It was Frank Haith of Tulsa who had suggested it. And I thought that there was logic into it. And I'm like the first guy on the wall defending against an expanded field. In 2010, I mean, I wrote column after column, screamed from the hilltops on the radio that it would be bad if they did. And ultimately, they stepped away from that as a possibility and didn't go beyond 68. So I don't think it's a good idea for the long run. But if there is no non-conference play, I think that would be one solution. However, Emmert talked about reducing the field, and I am adamantly opposed to that. I know that there is some travel-related complication, but you're talking about one game, basically, that would take a field from 64-ish down to 32. So I understand that you have to accommodate 32 more teams, but if you can do it for 32, you can do it for 64. Because they're only going to be there a couple of days, and then you send them home. And so wherever there is. And so absolutely there should be a 64 or slightly more. If they want to keep their first four intact for whatever reason, that's fine. But there should absolutely be a full bracket when we get to March. Even if March is in May, we have to have a full bracket, because we can't lose an entire tournament and then truncate the next one and expect it to remain the institution that it is.
Absolutely.
When we finally get back to it in 2022?
Yeah.
I hate to even think about how far away that is.
Is there one place, or is there a lot of places? Certainly it's not going to be all the different regions that we've had in the past. If you're trying, if the virus is still as it is now. The numbers in Shelby County today are really good. 0 fatalities, 122 new cases, positivity on 1,800 tests, 6.8%. I mean, this is the best news we've had in a while, but the trends have been coming down. Hospital space, much more readily available than it's been. There's no worry about the healthcare system being overwhelmed. And, but by the time you're talking about, there could be a vaccine in people's hands. So, but you're not talking about all the different regions we've had in the past, are you?
I don't think so. I don't think that's what will be the case. But if you create a situation, I use here in Indianapolis as an example, because we have multiple enormous basketball facilities with like 20 courts in them. There's one down the street from me here in Fishers. There's another that's even bigger than that, a place called Grand Park in a suburb that's it's about 25 miles north of Indianapolis. And so you could stage these early rounds in these places or somewhere like it. I mean, I think that there are places like that around the country that you could use. And you could take the tournament from 64 down to 4 even at 2 sites if you wanted to. So and then stage the Final Four here in Indy as it was originally going to be, although obviously not with 70,000 people in the stands.
Mike, one school, especially in the Big Ten, that is expecting to be in a NCAA tournament come March, if we do have it, is Michigan. Will Juwan Howard be the head coach of Michigan's Wolverines when we get there, though?
Well, he was pretty quick to come out yesterday and say, no, I'm not interested. If he were interested in the NBA, he can hide. It's the time of year when he doesn't have to talk to the media, he doesn't have to make any statements, and he reacted pretty quickly. And I talked to him last October back at a wonderful institution of the past we called Big Ten Media Day, and I don't know when we're going to get back to that either. But he was very sincere about this opportunity to coach Michigan, to want to be successful at Michigan, to want to make it work there, and if he'd wanted to be in the NBA, he probably would only have to wait another year on a bench. I mean, he's really bright, he's really engaging, and he was going to get a shot up there. And this came up, and he decided, this is good for me. And then he did a nice job. He had a rough time with injuries, and who knows what would have happened in the Big Ten or NCAA tournaments. But they had a good year at Michigan, and going from someone as respected and admired and really as effective and brilliant as John Beilein is, to a new coach who had never coached a game, it could have been easily for that car to crash and burn in a hurry. And Juwan did a really nice job with them. So I think he wants to make it work there, and he's recruited very well, and I think he will make it work there.
What about Jay Wright? We go to Philly every year, and I listen to those Philadelphia sports writers because we're there for Temple, and they're always complaining about Brett Brown, saying Jay Wright is the guy, the Villanova coach. Do you think he would leave for the Sixers?
I think that if he didn't love his job as much as he does, and I think he loves his job as much as any coach does anywhere, then I think he would do it, because I know that he is very much intrigued by the idea of working in the NBA. But he is so happy there, and he has a great team coming back, and he just has that. The whole culture of that program is just so effective right now. Guys want to be there. They don't turn down the best talent, but they don't look for guys who want to be in and out. That's one of the problems that's developed for Kentucky is that, look, when you get an Anthony Davis or a John Wall or a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and they are definitely pros, 12 months after they arrive, that's great. But the problem that John has is that the guys who aren't those guys, even if they're good players, they still want to get out, even if they're not ready. I mean, A.J. Montgomery averaged like 7 points last year, and he thinks he's an NBA player now. That's hard to manage. Jay doesn't have that. He's got guys like Sadiq Bey, who averaged 15, 16 points last year, was all Big East first team, I think he might have made some All-America teams. He wanted to stay. He's going to be a top 15 pick. He wanted to stay, and they had to say, no, man, you can't. You have to go. You're going to be picked too high.
I can't wait to talk with you every week once this college basketball season begins again. Mike, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Give my best to Deb. Hope you guys stay healthy.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News, brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and, of course, always finding ways for you to get new technology. Never a good time to replace your air conditioning system, but now would be okay because you can get one new technology for as low as $79 a month at Conway. That's right. Replace your old air conditioning system, the Energy Guzzler, for as low as $79 a month if you've got approved credit. And you'll see with these more efficient models, you'll probably save that $79 every month on your utility bill. So the next time you've got air conditioning problems, call the experts at Conway. 384-3511. Back with a wrap and crunch time in just a minute on Sports Time.
Take Sports 56 with you on your phone or tablet. Download our official Sports 56 app today.
You'll see the dedication in every single step. You'll see it in the smiles when smiles are hard to get. You'll see it in the little things that add up to success. The caring and passion are the things that we love best.
Wolf Chase Limb Brace is your Mid-South provider for orthotics and prosthetics. They are an ABC-accredited facility, and their practitioners are ABC certified. At Wolf Chase Limb Brace, their services include artificial limbs, legs and arms, braces of all kinds, and custom molded inserts. You can call them today at 901-507-7821 for their location on Highway 64 in between Germantown Parkway and Appling Road, or visit them at their new location in Jackson, Tennessee. That number is 731-660-5900, or visit them on the web at wolfchaselemembrace.com.
Our life to yours. Wolf Chase Limb and Brace.
I'm here with outstanding team from Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway. They're online at lexusofmemphis.com. Gary, tell everyone how they can experience the Lexus of Memphis satisfaction.
Come in and be a part of our family at Lexus of Memphis. Experience the customer service that we provide to each guest like a member of our own family. If you're on the side of the road and you need us, we're there. If you need help with anything with your car, technology, Bluetooth, the app suite, we have a dedicated team to help you with this in your journey with your Lexus.
That's how they do it at Lexus of Memphis.
All 75 months at 2.99 APR, G4 LHFO 7857, Outlander LUO 29538, Eclipse LZO 15617, includes all rebates and incentives. PF 59875, excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through the end of the month. Dealer stock only.
It's time to fully charge your summer with great savings from Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. You'll find 0% APR for 60 months, plus $500 cash back. Drive your ambition in a new 2020 Mitsubishi Mirage G4, $139 a month, or buy for $12,435, 41 MPG Highway. 2020 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport is ready for any adventure at $229 a month, or buy for $18,573. And cross over to summer in a 2020 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, $19,107 or $229 a month, backed by a stellar 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Mirage G4, $139 a month, Outlander Sport, $229 a month, and Eclipse Cross, $229 a month. Get to Gossett Mitsubishi today, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars. O'Reilly.
O'Reilly Auto Parts has everything you need for your summer car maintenance at great prices. Our professional parts people can help you find the best oil change supplies for your car, like 5 quarts of Valvoline conventional motor oil and MicroGuard filter, everyday low price $26.99. For your summer oil change, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Waldo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Final portion of our show on this terrific Tuesday. It's brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai and Olive Branch. Genesis of Olive Branch as well, where you will find the best in the Hyundais and the Genesis automobiles. And know if you get a new car, and by the way, the 2021s are arriving all the time, wait till you see this new Genesis SUV. Ooh, you're going to love it. You're going to love everything about Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. I think they set the bar for the way car business should be done. And we start with every new car, limited lifetime powertrain warranty, every new Hyundai, every new Genesis, same thing with their maintenance package, a new 3-year, 36,000-mile maintenance package for every new car. Great technology, great service. You can't beat it. This is a crew that's been together literally 15, 20 years. They are the veterans who know how to take care of you. Go find out for yourself. Get on Lamar into Mississippi, exit 1's Craft Road, turn left. You'll see the gang. They'll take care of you at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. It's crunch time.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is Geraldo. It is crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Take questions again for the student athletes at this time, please.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
Is this thing working?
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Woo! Woo!
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day.
I learned today, just a few minutes ago, Vandy star linebacker Dimitri Moore is opting back into the 2020 season after he's learned more research about COVID-19. Wow,
well, good for him.
That's an opposite trend.
I just learned about 45 seconds ago, Bernard Childress of the TSSAA has responded to Superintendent Dr. Ray's letter publicly, and it's not very favorable to Dr. Ray. In some experts from the letter, it's about a 2-page. You can read it for yourself. It's on Twitter. The suggestion of the TSSAA's regulation and guidelines lack scientific support, is ill-informed. The letter also asserts that the TSSAA protocol failed to account for the varying COVID-19 statistics among counties in Tennessee. The opposite is true. And at the end, this is the doozy. Since the August 24th letter was released to media outlet and posted on social media as a one-sided indictment of TSSAA before we had any opportunity to respond, we will be distributing this response to media outlets and posting it on social media as well. In the future, should you have any questions related to TSSAA, please feel free to call me. Respectfully, Bernard Childress.
Wow, the war apparently
Tri-State is coming.
Begun.
Let's get the Tri-State League going.
I guess I could have done without this story too. UCLA's not playing football, right? Jake Burton, their offensive starter, at tackle for 2 years. He announced on Twitter he's going to enter the transfer portal in hope of catching on somewhere this fall in the SEC or the ACC. This is why they didn't grant that waiver. This stuff is crazy.
I could have done without the Kristaps Porzingis news. It's been the best series in the NBA bubble playoffs, and I want everybody to be there. But hey, let's go, Luka! Come on, let's make it back-to-back games.
He's out. Lillard's out. What a story with the injuries. Always seems to be a story part of that league. Thanks to Gabe Kuhn, Brent Beard, Ron Tillery, Beau Marchand, and Mike DeCourcy. We will do this again tomorrow afternoon. Thanks for listening. Have a great night, everybody.